Let's see if anybody shows up. Anyone at all? Hmm. Yeah, sadly the Cubs got their asses kicked by the Astros tonight. 4-7. Damn, it was really rough in the first couple innings. I mean, it looked great when there was a 3-run hit. And then the Cubs fell behind when the Astros got 3 runs in. And then it became 7 runs in. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Yeah, Cubs got creamed tonight. Oh, well. At least I had a good time. Went out to the bar, got some wings. Well, I actually went to 2 bars. Went to Western and then to Aaron's. Had wings at both. Had my usual Daytona Wild over at Western, and then got some decent garlic parmesan over at Aaron's. Could be a little better. I mean, I might make Aaron's a Friday night thing. The seeing is that I don't really do anything Friday nights anymore. Not unless the 8-bit ever comes back, which I don't think it will. I was really hoping it would. I missed the 8-bit so much. And it was going to be in downtown again. Guess that's not going to happen. It's been almost a year since they said they were coming back. Or let me rephrase. It's been almost a year since they said that they were finalizing the deal on getting the property that they wanted. They have not had any updates ever since. Never, not since September last year. But yeah, I might make that my Friday night thing. Possibly to run into some more former lab employees that I worked with, see if they show up there. I know some of them live a lot closer to that place over to Aaron's than they do Western, but Western and Aaron's are very close to each other. So it's just as likely I could run into them either place. But the important thing was that I went out to eat and did a lot of thinking about my TL stuff. Specifically, my Bill Game story called Rise of the Primals. So, this video is just as much a reminder for myself as for anybody else that I wanted to tell a story a part of my TL world. One of the critical and core stories um, of TL lore. So there's quite a few of them that I have mapped out. None of it like truly like written. I have all of the events that says, oh, this person went to go do this thing happened, so on and so on. I have that for almost everything. There's still a few of them that I don't have the event lists for. And hopefully one day I'll actually get around to writing the stories themselves. But writing was never like one of my skills. Not really. I mean, I know how to write. I know how to tell a story, but I don't know how to tell a compelling story in written form. I'll probably need help for that. But I have the story itself. So, as I remind myself and anybody who might be watching, my Rise of the Primal story is one of the earlier stories in my TL mythology. Early in the sense that Tiberians exist, the world exists, gods and everything had existed. Still very early on, during the time known as the, well, it starts out during the time known as the dawn of man, and it mostly bleeds into another time known as the the Age of Exploration, or no, sorry, the Age of Darkness. Age of Darkness in TL is a large span of time where all of the terrible shit in the past had occurred, such as being attacked by the undead, and the devil showing up and causing havoc, things like that. Rise of the Primals is a story that is kind of like a mirror of the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Book of Moses. So just to remind myself, and of course I already have this written down. I have it written down. It's also in the cloud, so I can't lose this. But just as an audio reminder to myself, and to put it out there for anybody who's listening, who wants to listen. Rise of the Primals is a story about a man, a king by the name of Bill Games. And Bill is the king of a city called Ulukhtia. Ulukhtia is under siege by the nomadic warlord Haka Mevarasi, also known as the Emperor Under the Infinite Sky. Mevarasi is laying siege to the city of Ulukhtia, which has yet to have its walls breached. But it seems like Mevarasi's forces, his massive nomadic army of warriors, is about to enter the city. But that is when Ulukhtia sends out a representative. And he goes out there, the representative gets captured, and they bring him before the emperor, and they beat the shit out of this guy. Hey, Paste, how's it going? Hey, man. You want to stick around for my story? Right now, I'm kind of retreading everything, but I'll try to put it in a little more detail. I also think I found out... Yeah, here for the story. Perfect. I think I found out how to continue my story, because I was experiencing like a big roadblock, a narrative roadblock. I didn't know how to continue it, but I think I did. As long as you can before the kids go home. When do they come home? Or is that a mystery? Mystery. They are the families. Okay. So This story, which is part of my tabletop RPG lore, background lore, it's called Rise of the Primals, part of my Tiberian Legends game. Rise of the Primals is one of the core events, and it's about how elemental creatures came into being. Elemental entities, I should say. They're not actual creatures. Elementals are composed of dragons and spirits. That dragons are the ones that are physically manifested. As spirits, of course, are ethereal, otherwise, like just apparitions and such. But the primal elementals are the forces of nature themselves. All takes place during a time called the Age of Darkness, where all the terrible things in the past had occurred. And again, this is the story about how the primal elementals came to be. So Rise of the Primals. So the story starts off, and I'll just recap the things that I said a few moments ago. It's a story about a king by the name of Bill Games. He is the king of a city called Ulukatia. Ulukatia is a tropical kingdom. Great big like sandstone city, massive walls all around it protecting the people. And the city is currently under siege by the nomadic warlord Haka Mevarasi. Haka Mevarasi is also known as the Emperor Under the Infinite Sky, and he just goes around country to country conquering everybody and assimilating them into his armies and making them fight. He goes to the city of Ulukatia, which he is having difficulty penetrating, but it looks like his army is about to win. So Ulukatia sends out a representative from their city to go talk to the emperor and see if they can make a bargain. They don't. Instead, they capture the rep and they beat the shit out of him, beat him bloody, and they make their threats. From atop the castle wall is the prince of the city, and he starts demanding negotiations with the emperor, who's like, all right, well, I want to see you surrender. He's like, no, we're telling you to surrender. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, where's the king? You're not the king, are you? He's like, no, I'm the prince. He's like, where's the king? He's like, that's him down there, the guy that they were beating the shit out of. Hold on one moment. Hey, quiet. You be quiet. Want to come down here? You want to play with this? You're being noisy. Why don't you play with this? Come on. All right. Anyway. Yeah. So, Haka Mevarasi's guards and his soldiers beat the shit out of the king of Ulukatia, King Bill Games. Except they did nothing to him. I mean, they did beat him mercilessly, but it had no effect. Instead, he breaks the bonds that they put him in and muscles up and just pounds the hell out of everybody, single-handedly taking on the armies of this powerful emperor. And he's unstoppable. There's nothing that can hurt him. And he's just fisting his way through everything and beating up all the enemies and mashing them and turning them into pulp until the armies try to, flee. But then at the same time, the king's brother, who is a king of another city, comes on by with all of his soldiers, and they pinch in the armies of Mevarasi, who then, once he is alone, surrenders and begs for his life. Bill Games was going to get rid of Mevarasi for good. His brother's like, hey, don't do it. You're a hero. Don't kill him. Let him go, right? Kid's back lurking for a bit. Okay. Yeah, if you're lurking and listening, that's good too. Yeah. Come here. Come on. Cat is very needy. She wants my attention. But anyway, Bill's like, all right, I'll let you go on the condition that you will never attack my city again. You're going to leave me and my people alone. You're never going to come back. And so Emperor Mevarasi agrees, and he leaves Ulukatia and is escorted out of the region by the king's brother. Turns out, though, that that's not Emperor Mevarasi, that's a decoy. And the real emperor was way off in the distance, watching the war, watching the battle, studying it, finding out exactly who King Bill Games is. At the same exact time, the king's brother has also betrayed him. So he tells the emperor that everything is in order and that they will have access to the city that night. But he's not betraying him because he wants something from his brother, like his city or his power or anything. It's because the emperor had taken Bill's brother's family hostage and was threatening to kill them if he doesn't obey. So, to save his family, he's betraying his brother. Berta, don't be naughty. Anyway, that night, there's a great big feast. Everybody loves Bill. He is an amazing person. He's a superhero. The city loves him. And he's having a great big feast with all of his troops and the city's people, townspeople. Great time for all of them. Well, during that fight, he serves, or during that dinner, he serves some food that's been poisoned by his brother. Now, Bill is a demigod. He cannot be killed by conventional means. He is... Hold on a moment. She wouldn't stop crying for me from upstairs. All right. It's like she thinks I abandoned her or something. Right? Is that what you're thinking? Like I'm not going to play with you? I'm trying to tell a story here. You want to listen? Say, yeah, I want to listen. Okay. She wants to listen. So, so they're at the feast. Bill has a lot of food, has a lot of drink. All of it's been poisoned by his brother, but Bill is a demigod. His father is one of the Mithrils, one of the 9 gods who crafted the planet, crafted the world they live on. And his mother was a high priestess. Anyway, Bill cannot be killed by conventional means. He can only be killed either by another legendary character or weapon of legendary make. This poison's not going to do him in, but it does severely weaken him. So, as he's feeling faint and weak, his brother takes him away from the feast, and they go into the throne room, where the doors are locked behind him. And he sees Emperor Hakamevarasi sitting on his throne. His brother reveals, like, hey, I'm sorry, they took my family hostage. The only way that they'll release him is if I agreed to betray you and let them sack your city. And Bill's brother pleads with the emperor and is like, hey, go ahead and give my family back. But the emperor has Bill's brother killed instead. As it turns out, he already killed Bill's brother's family. He was never going to give them back. He already killed them. So, Bill tries to avenge his brother. But in his weakened state, he's not a very good fighter at the moment. Mevranasi has the upper hand easily, and the two begin to fight. Bill puts up a good as fight as he can, but eventually he gets bested and falls in battle. He dies. Mevranasi claims victory, but the doors eventually break down as the castle guard comes on through, and they overwhelm and cut down Hakka Mevranasi. The nomadic emperor is dead, but they also see that their beloved king, Bill Games, was also slain. This comes as a shock to them because Bill has been alive for centuries. No one's ever known him to be killed. So he's dead. They put him in a sarcophagus. They entomb him in a chamber beneath a river outside of the city. And then, what seems like moments after being buried, Bill wakes up, removes the lid from his sarcophagus, and he emerges from what appears to be like a dry riverbed. And the whole landscape around him is blasted and it just wastes. It's all sand and dust. Wherever he is, there is no city of Ulukatia. There is no castle. It's all gone. But he doesn't know that. He just thinks he's somewhere else. He thinks he was placed in some strange location. Doesn't know what happened. All he recalls is he was wounded in combat and passed out. To the best of his knowledge, he recovered and woke up. So, what he doesn't know is that thousands of years had passed. The gods that were active during his day, during his reign as king, they're gone. The world has seen several wars between mortals, monsters, and gods and devils and shit. And their battles have devastated the landscape. His city is gone. Everything that he ruled over is rubble. It's all wastes now. But he's looking for his city. He, after waking up, ventures out into the wilds, and now he's got to find his way back home, which he doesn't know is no longer there. So that's like the first chapter. Second chapter resumes with Bill. Now he finds his way out of the wastes and into a tropical forest filled with palm trees and ferns. He uses his skills to build rudimentary tools, makes a shelter and everything, and he's looking for provisions. He starts hunting for food, and he finds a wild boar that he's going to kill and cook. But when hunting the boar, out from some nearby bushes comes a minotaur. He has no clue what the fuck a minotaur is. I mean, he's got some idea because there were bullmen before in the past from a great war that had occurred. But he's never seen one like this before. This one doesn't look like a bull man. This one looks like a minotaur. It looks like a humanoid bull. Not only that, but because this minotaur is a part of the monster races, it has this bony crest going up its forehead. That bony crest is a monster's ability to telepathically communicate with the planet, whose will is to eradicate all human life. Humans had done something in the past that the planet was like, all right, well, I've got to kill all of you to reset this. So I'm making monsters to do it. There's a whole other story about that. I'm not going to get into that right now. But either way, just let it be known, this minotaur is a monster, a humanoid monster, and it wants to kill Bill. It wants to kill Bill Games. So the two get into a fight. Bill, being a superhero, possesses near infinite strength. He's got Superman strength. But at this moment in time, after recovering from his death, he is very weakened still. His strength hasn't fully recovered. But getting into a fight with the Minotaur, well, as he's fighting the Minotaur, it's proven that he still doesn't have his strength yet. As they're trading blows and everything, the Minotaur is beating and battering him around, tosses him, places, grabs him, throws him. The Minotaur bashes Bill, who gets flung into a tree and hits the ground. And then the Minotaur starts charging, is going to gore him with his horns. Bill stands up, and summoning strength into his arm, he punches the Minotaur right in the skull and fractures that bony crest, splitting it in half and severing his connection to the planet, thus losing the dominance over his mind that tells him to kill humans. He liberates the monster with violence. And the Minotaur falls to the ground and realizes that he's no longer in that state of mind control. And as Bill advances on him, the Minotaur's like, no, wait, but Bill doesn't stop, and instead pummels the hell out of him and knocks him into a nearby river. The Minotaur can't swim, and he's flailing for his life, crying out for help. And Bill realizes, oh no, what did I do? This guy's gonna die. I didn't mean to do that. And he's begging for help. I'm a superhero. I have to help him. So he runs downriver, finds a tree that's fallen over into the water, gets onto it, reaches out, grabs onto the Minotaur. Minotaur holds on, but current is too strong. Tree breaks. They both end up in the river, and they spill over a waterfall, fall far way down, but doesn't turn out to kill them. Instead, they actually manage to escape the waterfall at the bottom, and they climb on the shore. Yeah, come up here. Come here. Berta. Come here. You listen to me out there, but not in here. Why not? Anyway. So, they go over the waterfall. After they hit the bottom, they manage to get away from it. The water's a lot more calm down below. They crawl onto a bank together, and they're just relieved to be alive. They're panting and breathing heavily. Quite a chore for them to escape the water. And as they're on the shore, they're looking at each other because they hear a sound from behind. That wild boar that they were fighting over is down there with them, eating some of the vegetation. The two of them looking at each other just laugh, and then sometime later, or later that night, Bill and the Minotaur are sharing roasted boar meat over a campfire. Bill is able to speak the language of the monster. The monster speaks a language called Mythic. Bill knows this language because it was a language that was taught to him by his dad, one of the Mithrils. It's the language of the gods. Monsters speak the language of the gods. And he's astounded at just how strong this Minotaur is. And he's never seen a creature like this before. They didn't exist when he was a king. So, the Minotaur goes on to explain what are monsters, or what monsters are. So, monsters, of which there are two different kinds. There are mimics and chimeras. And a mimic is a humanoid monster, typically able to change its shape or otherwise bypass human scrutiny, passing off as another type of humanoid creature. Whereas chimeras are creatures that look like three or more animals combined into one single beast, and is very threatening.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so the Minotaur is a mimic, and he mentions how Nephromagy, the first magic user, um, she was the Messiah for the Tiberian people, and that she had defeated the monster armies that were created to stop her and anyone that knew magic. Well, Bill's like, yeah, but people knew magic before her. Back in my time, we had magic users. One of my uncles is the god of magic, right? Um, so magic's not new to him, but to everybody else it is. Either way, Nephromagy lived and died the hero of humanity, even though she was technically no longer human herself. She was born one of the Sendome, which is kind of like an elven creature, except they have, um, except they're a little more thinner in frame. They've got horse-like tails, um, degraded pinky fingers, like they're receding a little further back, and their feet are kind of like pig treaders, like little pig's feet, or how their feet are like. Um, and they have like the long dagger-like ears of elves, like upwards to like 6 inches out, or so. Yeah. Anyway, Nephromagy, the savior of mankind. Bill always thought he was the savior of mankind. Well, he's never heard of monsters before. Not like the Minotaur. He asks if the Minotaur has a name. Minotaur's like, no, like monsters don't have names. We're not individuals. We all belong to a hive mind, a collective. We obey the will of the planet. We're just instruments she uses to wipe humanity out. And he's like, well, from now on, you're no longer an individual. Or sorry, from now on, you're no longer a monster. You're not a part of that collective. You think for yourself, but, or he's like, do you have any family? And he mentions, no, monsters don't have families because they don't procreate. They're all just willed into existence by the planet. They emerge from the ground. When a monster is born, the planet spends a portion of its soul that it has at that moment to create life that just rips itself out of the earth. That's how he was created. Monsters don't give birth. And he's like, well, screw that. From now on, we're brothers. You and me. So, King Bill Games and the Minotaur, they're brothers from this point on. And he names him Enkidu, which means the Bull of Heaven in the old mythic tongue. And Enkidu's like, all right, I have a brother. I have a name. This is amazing. Like, I not only have I been liberated, but I've gained identity, self-identity. And the two decide that, or was it? He tells Enkidu wants to know more about Bill. Bill explains that he's the king of a city named Ulukatia. Enkidu's like, I've never heard of that city before. Bill's like, well, I need to find it. I don't know where I'm at, and I got to go back. My kid is probably worried out of his mind, and my people need me. It was under attack by Emperor Mevarasi. I need to stop him if he's still around. So they decide to go on an adventure, go look for the city of Ulukatia. And that's the end of chapter 1. Or sorry, that's the end of chapter 2 or 1. Yeah, it's the end of chapter 2. Sorry. Chapter 3 is about them. Bill and Enkidu. They leave the blasted lands and venture northwest until they happen across a tribe of barbarians. Now, barbarians are known to Bill, but this tribe he's never heard of before. Doesn't know what they are. They're orcs. Orcs didn't exist. They weren't around when Bill was alive and when he was king. And he's like, what are these guys? That's when Enkidu's like, they're orcs. They're an offshoot of humans after the fall of the gods. Or after the yeah, like at the time known as the fall of the gods, when all the gods died. That's when they showed up. And all the orcs have green skin. And he's like, well, why are they green? And he goes on to explain, well, we don't know for certain, but supposedly the early orcs looked just like people, but they came across a terrifying and awesome power that corrupted them and turned them that color. And now they're all violent and brutish, and they just want to dominate and control, or otherwise kill their opposition. They respect and follow only the strongest of their kind. So Bill's like, well, maybe we should steer clear of them. It doesn't look like they'll be able to help us out. That's when they get found out, and they are captured. They're brought over to the camp where the orcs are, and Bill and Enkidu are chained together. They demand some answers, and they are thrown to the barbarian leader, who is a fucking beautiful, gorgeous orc woman. What? What is it, Mia? Come here. Are you not going to protest? Anyway. So they're brought before the very beautiful orc leader, Hinana. Hinana is quite amused at what she has captured. She's never seen a human quite like King Bill. And when he says who he is, she doesn't know who he is. Like, oh, you're a king, huh? Well, whatever. Dialogue happens. But either way, she wants to give her barbarian tribe, her clan, some entertainment. They have a gladiatorial pit. And both Bill and Enkidu, chained together, are thrown into the pit, where they have to fight an orc of exceptional size. Game rule terms, they are a size category. This orc is a size category larger than it should be. They are already large size creatures. This one's a step up. In D&D terms, he'd go from large to huge. Well, the fight is not going their way. The orc gladiator is beating the hell out of them. It is otherwise just like toying with them. Grabs them by the chain, yanks them both, slaps them around, throws them against the wall. And all the other orcs gathered around the pit, they're just fucking entertained. They love it. They think it's savage and brutal and hilarious. Anyway, as they're getting their butts kicked, Enkidu's trying to do everything that he can, but he's having a hard time fighting back. Bill, on the other hand, is still trying to regain his strength. But eventually it starts coming back to him. After landing a good couple blows, the orcs are like cheering for him. And he starts to feel his power resurge. Until eventually him and Ankiru work together using their chain to like maybe clothesline or trip the big orc, and they're turning the fight around as they're chanting out, for Bill and Ankiru. Bill's strength begins to return, and he breaks his chains and starts using it like a war chain, fucking fighting and everything, and beats the hell out of that big old orc. And when that orc is trying to get a one up on him, Bill punches him across the pit into the wall and fucking splatters him against it. Not like a tomato splattering, but just like blah, hits it. He's dead. All the orcs are stunned and silence, and then rah, like the whole audience, the whole crowd, they're just fucking loving it. So Bill and Ankiru, they're like, yeah, we did it. Like, what does this mean though? So the orc leader, Hinana, she comes on out, and she congratulates both of them with especially Bill with kisses, and declares them part of the tribe. All the orcs are very happy. They now like Bill and Ankiru. And during that night, they're having a little celebration, victory celebration, acceptance celebration. There's a big feast among the barbarians. Ankiru is being fed fruits, sweet fruits, and meat. As he's like lying on his back, and he's like covered with prostitutes, orc prostitutes, and he's enjoying every moment of it. Bill, on the other hand, he's longing for his city. He wants to see his son. He wants to know what's happening with his people. How long is it going to take for him to get back home? Hinana is trying to console him, but says like what is or she's asking like, what does he want? He explains, who he is, how like the condition that his city is, that it was left in, how he fell in combat but woke back up, and he's just trying to get back to his city and his son. She's like, I've never heard of such a city. Doesn't exist. Instead, why don't you stay here, be my consort, and we'll rule my barbarian tribe together. Me as like the sole ruler, of course, but you'll have some sway. He's like, no, I'm the king of my city. I got to get back to my family. My son needs me. My people need me. They're in danger. And she takes insult to that. Nobody's ever spurned her before. So she makes the ultimatum like, look, if you go out there, you're going to die because I'm going to kill you. No one turns me down. And he's like, well, here's a first. And him and Ankiru are trying to leave. That's when she summons her barbarian horde to go attack them. Bill and Ankiru, they fight the orc horde. They push back the green tide. And they just pummel them into submission. Hinana is the last one standing. And she's a paper tiger. They knock her down. She is cursing their names. And that's when Ankiru, with some leftover food in his possession, lobs it back at the camp, strikes Hinana. She falls down. They leave as she's again cursing their names and vowing to get her vengeance on them. One of these days, she's going to catch up with them. They're going to die. Anyway. When Bill was talking to Hinana about his past, that's when he learns from her that if there's anybody who knows about his city and his culture, it would be somebody in the great magic city of Astra, the capital of Majesta, a city and a country that didn't exist when Bill was around, when Bill was king. So after leaving Hinana's, they make their way to Astra. That night, in another part of the world, nearby country, the Republic of Davaso, in the presidential palace, they're having a gala event. President's there with his first wife, his son, who is the general of the armies, and his advisor, a druid, the president's special counsel, who is a druid named Aga. And when they're there, the fire, the torches, it goes dim, the room gets dark, and then all of a sudden, boom, Ogre Mage shows up in the center of the room. And he spreads words of warning and demands that all of the monsters who were enslaved in the Republic of Davaso, they be set free. He shows up and tells the president, let my monsters go. President's like, no, these are our monsters. We liberated them. They work for us. We're not releasing them to you. Whoever you are, you terrible fiend. And so the Ogre Mage says, all right, if you don't meet my demand, then I am going to siege your city with terrible curses, a plague of elemental destruction, and all of your people will die. President, unfazed, rejects his demands, orders his guards to kill him. Turns out the ogre's not actually there. It's an illusion. But the ogre gives his farewell warning and then leaves. Everyone's a little shaken. The president, not as much, but he heard what the thing said. He believes that it's all bluff. The first lady, though, she recognized that Ogre Mage. And she's like, could it be you? Like, are you my long-lost son? That is the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4. Oh, was that chapter 3? Let's see. It was there. Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Yeah, it was the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4 continues with Bill and Ankidu. Oh, I just broke a screwdriver. Well, time to play with the knife. Bill and Ankidu venture across the countrysides, come across some scattered villages, meet some of the people, find their way to the city of Astra as they're pointed out where to go. As they're entering the valley where Astra was founded, Cat's about to click stuff on the mouse. She has a habit of doing that, and the keyboard. Girl, you best get away from there. I'm just gonna pick you up. Yeah. Anyway. So, Bill and Ankidu, they come to a cave. A cave off the beaten path where they'll be safe. Ankidu's like, hey, I can't go into that city. I don't have the ability to change my form in front of people. I can't put up my aura of glamour. So Bill's like, yeah, okay. Well, we'll stay in that cave. We'll set up a campfire, and I'll go check out the city, see what I could find out. You stay here and just make sure that our stuff's taken care of. Ankidu's like, great. Well, brother, see you later. So, I need to back up. That whole thing that I had mentioned before with the Ogre Mage showing up, that actually already happened. What was supposed to happen in that event, because that was like a chapter 2 thing. chapter 3 is supposed to end with the ogre mage coming back and saying, "Hey, are you going to meet my demands?" And that's when the president's like, "No, I'm not going to release the monsters to you. They're ours." And the ogre mage is like, "Well, all right, time to make good on my promise." And then off in the distance, far, far away from the city, there is a great light illuminating the sky, illuminating the night. And actually, this was kind of like happening once they found the cave. They find the cave and they stay overnight. They have their campfire. It's during that same night that out in the Republic of Devasso is when the ogre mage shows up. And he's like, "All right, time to make good on my threat." And then way out in the distance, beyond the city, is a great light in the sky. As the city guard are like, "Oh my God, what's that?" And they hear like the rumbling of something very massive walking their way. And what it is a humanoid entity that looks like a fucking demon of some sort, an emaciated demon with a mouth for a face and a hollow skull, massive dragon horns, and bone-like wings, bone-like shoulder blade wings protruding from its back. And this creature is bathed in fire, and it's 1,000 feet tall, walking towards their city. The guards have no clue what to do against it, and they're all trying to fire at it. Bows, arrows, ballistas, everything they've got, catapults. Nothing's working. And then the creature pulls its head back, throws it forward, and it's like a volcano going off. It just blasts the fucking city gates and all of its guards under a whole stream of lava. It breaks down the defenses of the city, and as it's approaching, it continues to torch the city and its people, burning them all to death. But that's when the president's special counsel, Aga the Druid, she comes up and she engages the monster, the elemental. No one's ever seen anything like this before, but it being a creature of fire, she uses her powers of water to quench it, which works. She manages to weaken the creature to the point where the city guard is able to bring it down. And they defeat it. And eventually, the fire elemental is destroyed. But once he goes out, all of the fire in the world goes out too. All of the torch brackets in the castle, they're snuffed out. All the light is gone. Just magical lights created from mages are able to illuminate the place. And in the center of the presidential palace, or in the president's office, is the ogre mage. And he says, "That's the first of many plagues to come. Now, do what I say, or suffer a similar fate." The president doesn't back down. It's like, we don't negotiate with monsters. It's like, you're our enemy. We'll never give in to you. And that's when the first lady goes up to the ogre mage. And she's asking, like, "Is it you? Are you my long lost son? Are you Piku?" Uh, the ogre mage, Humbaba, doesn't answer. But he doesn't answer because he doesn't want to. He doesn't answer because it's like he heard something that he's never heard, that he has not heard in a long time. But he leaves eventually. So, back at the cave, the guys are trying to keep their campfire light, which is not working. It just goes out. But even though they can't get it started, Bill's like, well, daylight's coming. Because the sun is cresting up. He's like, daylight's coming. Now is as good a time as any for me to start walking over to the city. You just make sure that everything's taken care of and nobody comes on by. And Ankitu's like, right, good, I'll stay right here. So Bill goes off to the city of Astra. And when he gets there, he's asking some questions, finding out, who can give him guidance. People are pointing him to a location called the Cowthedra. Cowthedra is a massive tomb, similar to like the Taj Mahal, built on an island in the center of the river that cuts the city in half. Now, his presence in Astra, him being a legendary character, or being a demigod, him having that aura of a demigod, catches the attention of Aga the Druid. Aga has also come to Astra, seeking aid in the fight against Humbaba. And she wants to know what this power is that she feels, and so she starts to look for it. Meanwhile, at Cowthedra, that is when Bill sees a massive statue in the center of Cowthedra, in the likeness of Nephrimagi, the Messiah of the world. And like, there's a plaque that's talking about how she's the Messiah, the savior of mankind. She gave her life to make sure that humans survive, and that she has given the gift of magic to all of her children and to the people of the world. Everybody loves her. Bill is really upset. Not directly at Nephra. He's more upset at himself, but he directs it towards her. And he's shouting out loud how, or was it? Let me back up first. When he's there, before he gets there at Cowthedra, back at the cave, Ankitu is still trying to get things going with that campfire, which is not working. And that's when he is approached by a mysterious stranger at the cave. Doesn't know who he is, but he's ready to cause trouble. Not the stranger, Ankitu. He's ready to put up a fight. Because he's a monster. People kill monsters. Monsters kill people. They fight each other. But yeah, back at Cowthedra, Ankitu sees the statue, and he's shouting out loud, like he's angry with himself, but he's shouting at the statue of Nephra, saying like, you aren't supposed to be the savior of mankind. I was supposed to be the savior. I was the one who was chosen to lead people out of the darkness and into civilization. I was going to rescue everybody. It's like, it's not fair. Why did I die? Why did I die before I can complete the task my father had given me, to save the people and lead them toward a golden future, right? Like, he's come to finally accept he died. He died fighting Maeva Rasi. He just doesn't know what happened. He came back to life. He's never died before. He's lived hundreds and hundreds of years, having that having blessed longevity for being a demigod. He had never fallen in combat before. So he's terrified of this new world that he's in. He has no clue of any of its people, all these different races, monsters, these cities and countries he's never heard of before. He's a fucking half god out of time. And his shouting frightens the visitors and alerts security. So the gods, the mage guards of Cowthedra, they try stopping him, but it turns out some of their magic's not working, and they don't know why. And this gives Bill an upper hand. he fights his way through security and escapes the palace, or escapes the tomb of Nefermagi, Kauthedra. And he manages to escape the city. As he was fighting his way out and got out of Kauthedra, Aga was there. She was watching him. And she's like, this is the person I'm looking for. So Bill escapes the city. He makes it back to the cave. He's not being followed. But when he gets there, he doesn't see Enkidu. He sees that there's no campfire. Like, there's no fire at all. And he's like, he couldn't do it again. So he's trying to start it himself. And that's when that mysterious stranger shows up. And it looks just like Bill. He has no clue why there's a fucking doppelganger of some sort. He has no clue why there's somebody that looks like him. And so he's like, oh, this is some devilish trick being played on me by Mevarasi, more than likely. Right? And so he gets into a fight with this lookalike. And he's battling him. He's wrestling with him. Fists are being thrown. This other person's a very, very good fighter. Like a skilled combatant. Not just somebody who can take you down in brute strength. He's a better fighter than Bill is. Even with all of his centuries of combat expertise. Anyway, that's when Enkidu shows back up at the cave with some supplies. And he's like, oh my goodness, like, Bill, what are you doing? And he sees Bill is fighting Bill. What's going on? And that's when he reveals, no, Bill, like, that's not you. That's somebody else. Here, let me explain. And so the other Bill backs off and his shape changes. Or I should say his aura of glamour is his aura of glamour comes down, and it's revealed that it's a tiger man, a Rakshasa. The Rakshasa reveals himself to be a former assassin by the name of Levana. Levana was once the head of an assassins group for Queen Gavaraji a long, long time ago, who Nefermagi had fought and defeated. And when Levana was ordered to kill Nefermagi, he gained a sense of his own doom, overcame the powers that controlled him, and he ripped that crest off of his head and liberated himself from the will of the planet. The only monster ever known to do it to himself. And then he just walked away from that battle. Anyway, he's back. He doesn't have his crest on. He's not controlled by the planet. He still has his gifts, his abilities to disguise himself. And he reveals who he is to them. And and that he's going to help them. That he tells them about, he explains the story of monsters and such, or he goes into more depth of who Nefermagi is, and how the same power that she had, he senses it in Bill as well. And he believes that he's somehow supposed to help him. Like, he feels it in his soul. This man, I have to protect him somehow. Something's telling me I have to help him. And when Bill explains himself and says, hey, I'm the king of a city called Ulukatia, have you ever heard of it? Do you know where it's at? Levana's like, I've never heard of that before. Like, I don't know it, but I feel it. like in here. Like I've been there before, but I have no clue what it is. You guys keeping up? There's just too much information. I don't know who's listening. Anyway, as they're trying to get their fire going, it's not working. That's when Aga shows up at the cave too. She reveals who she is, where she's from, and says that she needs Bill's help. The Republic of Devasso is under attack, and they need a superhero like Bill to save the day. Now, this is where I ran into my roadblock, my narrative roadblock. I didn't know how to continue the story. But tonight, I thought about it. As I was having some dinner at the bars. Bill agrees. Everybody, like, Bill and his friends agree. His party. They're like, okay. Like, I gotta help these people because they might know something. Like, he's asking Aga, like, do you know what happened to my city? And she's like, I promise we'll find out exactly what happened to your city if you come help us. Devote all my time and resources to getting you back to where you're supposed to come from. But for right now, my city is under attack. I really need your help. We don't have anybody like you. He's like, okay. I'll help defend you from whatever it is that's, plaguing your city. Pretty certain I could take it on. All right. So they head on off to Devasso. Before they get there, Aga explains, Aga explains the situation in Devasso first. She's like, hey, I need some help. Will you help me? That's when that chapter ends. Chapter 5 is Humbaba's backstory. So, Humbaba is from a place known as the Cedar Forest. And how the story goes is that the old president of Devasso, a benevolent ruler, him and his family were traveling through the Cedar Forest along with some personal guard. They were just taking in the sights. They were protected. And it's kind of like the King's Wood for them. Or it kind of was. It was like outside of their territory. But they were going through the forest. And that's when they encountered 2 ogres. These ogres were quite nasty looking, quite terrifying and vicious, but they weren't acting hostile, or at least they weren't lashing out at them. They certainly didn't want the humans around, but they weren't attacking until eventually the humans staying there for too long or getting too close tempted the ogres to finally take some action. They get into a fight. The president's guards slay the 2 ogres. And they're like, well, that was close. And they hear a crying. And so they go to investigate. And it turns out there is a baby ogre. Monsters don't have kids. Ogres are monsters. So what's going on? Well, they're like, well, we have to kill this. It's a monster. But that's when the first lady, she's like, no, I can't do that. This is a child. This is an infant. We're not going to kill this baby. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like, as a benevolent ruler, we have to show kindness any way that we can. We already know that there is a way to liberate monsters from the will of the planet by removing the crowns on their heads. The bony crowns, the crests coming out of their foreheads. So, like, okay, well, we'll take this child. We're not going to leave it to die. We'll remove its crown. And First Lady's like, we're going to raise it as one of our own. President's like, well, we already have a son. And she's like, I don't care. We are going to take care of this child. We just killed its parents. We have to do something right. So they take in the child, they remove its crown, and the mom names him Piku. The president and the first lady, they already have a son, an infant son, named Miku. And as the years go on, they're raised together. The adopted son, Piku, he is just as much a son as the actual son to the family. Some of the people outside of the family, like president's guards, other important like Senate members of the Republic of Devasso, they all find it really fucking taboo. Republic of Devasso already has a bunch of monsters living there, but they're all a part of a slave caste. They live in the slave district. They're all servants to the people. They do everything for them. And their living conditions aren't the best, but at least they can live. They're not like harassed and beaten and coerced into doing things they're not supposed to. They're just helping the people. But again, they're forced. It's forced servitude. Still, it could be worse. Anyway, the years go by, and when Piku is old enough, he starts to question, like, Mom, why am I different? Why don't I look like everybody else? You know, why do I look like some of the monsters? Like, am I a monster? And the first lady's like, no, Piku, you are a gift. The planet gave you to us, and we promise to look after you. You're not a monster. You're my son, just as much as Miku is. So everything's fine. Some more years go by, and the president dies, but not under mysterious circumstances. He passes away. His second in command, who is the general of his armies, becomes the new president. And even though the new president already has a son, he doesn't have a wife. So he marries the first lady and inherits her two sons as his own. So we now have the new president with his son, the first lady and her two sons, one of which is an ogre. The general turned president, he fucking hates monsters. He lets their living conditions get worse. On top of that, his son is a fucking sociopath. And he not only doesn't like monsters, he loves being cruel to them. He is very malicious. He actively goes out of his way to hurt them, the ones who have been liberated. So he's not a good guy. One day, when Piku and Miku are out minding their own business, they notice their stepbrother, I have yet to name, and his friends harassing a monster. They're hurting it, they're scaring it, having fun torturing this thing. And that's when Piku feels heartbroken and sad about what's happening, and so his brother Miku steps in, and he breaks up the little gang up on the monster, and Piku also jumps in. They won't let the monster be harassed anymore. Their stepbrother and his friends, his goony ass friends, they are embarrassed that one of the president's sons is a monster, and that his other son like stepsons. That one stepson is a monster and the other stepson is a monster sympathizer, a monster lover. And so they're making fun of them. And then their stepbrother's like, hey, you better watch it or else, something bad might happen to you. Stupid monster, right? Well, anyway, they run off. And the monster they protected is like, hey, thank you so much for saving my life. I would like to repay you any way that I can. Please come with me. I'd like to show you my home. And so they do. They follow the monster into the slave district. They go to that monster's home. This is the first time that Piku is seeing monsters he's never seen before. He's learning that his brothers and sisters, so to say, his kin, there is a great range to them. There are a lot of them. And they have all been liberated from the will of the planet, but a lot of them have been liberated by force. Actually, almost all of them have been liberated by force and then taken away as slaves. Because you can't enslave a wild monster without magic. But if you sever its connection to the planet, then it has to think for itself, becomes an individual, and without any guidance, are doomed to become slaves to humanity. Well, anyway, the monsters tell Piku exactly what he is. They're like, look, you may be the son of the president, but you're a monster. You are a monster who is really special. You're different from the rest of us. You were born. You're the first of your kind. And you are really special to us. And we're hoping that one day that you will take control and lead us out of here. Because we can't do it. Miku is like, don't worry, brother. I am going to help you free your kin. What we're doing to these creatures, what we're doing to them is awful. They deserve better. They're clearly liberated monsters are no different than people. They can think for themselves. They're able to create. They understand concepts. They're not just animals. They're not mindless animals. They are people too, once you sever their connection to the planet. So Piku's like, thank you. I really love my brother. Best person in the world. That night, as they're leaving the monster district, and they're halfway home, that's when their stepbrother and his goon friends jump them in the middle of the night, beat the hell out of them, the stepbrother's like, yeah, I told you something bad was going to happen and stuff like that. Well, anyway, they get into a really big brawl. And something happens. He doesn't know if he was responsible, but he wasn't. Miku is killed. Piku sees that it happened, and his stepbrother sees that it happened. And his stepbrother is like in shock, like, oh my god, you killed your brother. You're gonna fucking die. They're gonna kill you for this. And so Piku is in shock, and he runs away and he hides. Later on, after the commotion outside, as the guards had come on by, and there was a great big investigation, he secretly makes his way, stealthily makes his way back to the presidential palace, and he's spying on his family, and his fucking evil ass stepbrother pins the blame of his brother's death onto Piku. Miku's death is pinned on his brother Piku, and the first lady, their mother, she is sobbing uncontrollably. Her firstborn son is dead. The other one is missing. She doesn't know what happened. It was explained what happened, even though it wasn't the truth. And the president is like, look, he's a monster. Always has been, always will be. You can't change them. And even though the First Lady is in denial of what had happened, eventually she's convinced she was wrong this whole time. She tried fighting the idea that she was wrong, or she tried fighting the idea that's being planted in her head that she's been wrong this whole time, but eventually she accepts the lie that her adopted son killed her firstborn, and that he's a monster who couldn't be changed, and she was a fool. It's announced that he's going to be arrested and killed, and Piku panics and escapes the city. He flees into the cedar forest where he was born. And while he gets lost out there, not knowing where he is, he hears something. Something's calling out to him, and it's coming from a cave. And he goes into the cave, deep into the cave, where he finds the skeleton of a dragon. And it's almost as though the dragon skeleton is telepathically communicating to him. He doesn't know how it's doing this or who this voice is, but it's telling him the things that he wants to hear. That he can avenge his brother if he gives in, takes the bony crown, that the monster crest, off of the dragon's skull and puts it on himself. He will be gifted with profane powers, and he'll be able to wield special magic against his foes, and he will be unstoppable. Virtually unstoppable. So in his grief and anger, Piku goes to the dead dragon, the skeleton, and rips that piece of its skull off, the monster crown. A really large monster crown, larger than what would be on him. And he lifts it up, and he shoves it into his head. And it unlocks a whole bunch of power that monsters typically do not have. And he gets a whole bunch of magical abilities. And he adopts the name Humbaba. Over the course of another decade or so, like half a decade up to a decade, still iffy on the time, he's honing his skills and perfects his abilities in the dark arts. And once he's learned how to fully utilize his abilities, he summons from the corners of the earth the 6 most powerful fucking dragons that existed, that are still alive, with the exception of the 2 most powerful, that being Bahamut and Tiamat. But he gets 6 of the most powerful dragons together, and using his dark magic, transforms each and every one of them unwillingly into the primal elementals. And thus the first elementals are born. The first semi-corporeal elementals. The primal elementals. And so where he had the 6 most powerful dragons, he now has something even greater than that. And he vows to take his vengeance. Over those years, while he was practicing his dark magic, he was becoming more and more influenced by the voice that he had spoken to, telling him first telling him that he would get he would avenge his brother, to now where it's you're gonna get revenge. It's gone from a vengeance to revenge, and that he wants to kill them all. And that's his backstory. That's chapter 5. That's when he goes to the presidential palace, ready, and makes his demands. Anyway, chapter 6. This is where I hit my narrative roadblock before. I didn't know how to continue the story. I was like, where does it go from here? We've already seen the rise and devastation of the first elemental, the fire elemental, the Jinn, or also known as Sirfil. Sirfil Ra. Or Silphir Ra. Silphir Ra. I was like, what the hell do I do next? So I said, all right, I don't have the chapters laid out yet, but the idea is Bill, Ankiru, Labana, and Aga are all in a party together. They head back to Devasso. Or they head to Devasso. Aga is the one heading back there. But they get to Devasso. Or as they're on their way there, that's when the next thing happens. Humbaba returns. When Humbaba is there, he makes his demands. Like, hey, let my monsters go, or I'm going to devastate the city again. The president is pretty certain everything's going to be okay. They've already defeated the fire elemental once. They could do it again. That's when Humbaba's like, all right, well, you're not going to give me my monsters back, so time for the next plague. And that's when it's a combination of two more primal elementals. One of them being Blizzra, the ice elemental, and the other one being Gaia, the earth elemental. The ice elemental, both of them appear to have feminine forms, but they're both gaunt, gnarly, and demonic looking, just like the fire elemental, horns and all, with the exception of Gaia. Blizzra, she is looks like she's either made of or rhymed over with ice. As for Gaia, she looks like she's made of wood. That her hair, or she doesn't like really have hair. She has like a big old cape of leaves, like a big old gown of leaves, but it doesn't cover her body. It just like covers her back and her backside, and like comes over her too, like a great big hood. The combination of the two start devastating the city. Gaia is able to both swim through the earth as though it were water, and she raised the city with earthquakes and tremors, sinking, like causing sinkholes and just massive damage. Blizzra, she's killing everything off with her severe cold, using like absolute zero effects and powers, freezing the terrain, killing everybody instantly with ice, and shattering the buildings. Like, boom, instant frozen, and then they start to crumble underneath the earthquakes and everything. It's awful. They're being fought now. Mages who are there in the city, they're doing what they can to kind of fight back. It's really difficult, though, since fire is gone. It's not going to work as well against Blizzra. It's not going to work as well against Gaia. The elements that would have worked against them, one of them anyway, is missing. It's gone for good. That's when the heroes show up in the city. They're witnessing the devastation. Ankidu is questioning it. He's like, if Humbaba is as powerful as this, Mother Nature Gaia is a beast. Yes, sort of. Its name is Gaia. That's what people refer to it as. They refer to it as Gaia. It actually has a different name. At least the dragon that was sacrificed to create it had a different name. So Gaia and Blizzard are doing their thing. Ankidu's like, well, if Humbaba has all of this power, why doesn't he just free the monsters himself? Like, he could easily just go in there, take them, and leave. He's got all that strength. Well, that's when Labana's like, he can, but I have a feeling that he's more so driven by a desire to punish the people than he is to save his own kind. He wants revenge. He wants to hurt the people. Like, he says that he wants to save, like, he says he wants to save the monsters, but he's going to do so by eradicating all human life from the Republic of Devaso. So, the gang gets in there. They do what they can to stop these things. A combined effort between there's a combined effort between Ankidu and Labana. Since they're not like as strong as Bill Games, but Bill uses his superhuman strength to fight the primal elementals. Aga uses the magics that she still has access to as a druid to fight them off too. And then, after they are successful, I don't know exactly how the battle goes just yet, or how it plays out, but how it ends is that they are victorious, the primal elementals are defeated, and then both Cold and the Cold is lost to the world. Anything that's ice begins to melt. The glaciers melt. Ice caps begin to melt. The world is starting to become flooded. And what isn't destroyed in a mass flood is slowly ebbing away as the earth begins to rot. Vegetation dies. Famine begins to spread. And it's worse. Killing these primal elementals is fucking the planet. But if you don't stop them, then everybody's going to die. So there's the problem. And when those primal elementals were attacking, that's when the First Lady goes up to Humbaba, and she's like, why are you doing this? You're my son. Like I love you. Like, why are you hurting the people of the city? And Humbaba is just staring out at the destruction with fire in his eye, sorta. He's given that 1,000-yard stare. But you could see that in that stare, there's anger and hatred for everybody. Like, he's completely tuning his adopted mother out. Almost as though he's commanding the primal elementals to do what they do with his eyes. But yeah, eventually the primals are stopped. The world gets flooded. It begins to rot. And things aren't looking so good. Eventually, everybody is brought before the president. Aga reveals, hey, these are the people that saved the city, and I think they can help us in defeating Humbaba. Humbaba, by this point, had already left. His illusion is gone. He's gone back to where he resides, which is in the Cave of Kern out in the Cedar Forest. The president's son, General. Hey, Rabbit, what's going on? Talking about one of my TL stories again. So the president's son, who grew up to become the general of the armies, the one who loves torturing monsters, especially ones who have been liberated. He certainly looks like he wants to fuck with Ankidu and Labana. Like, he's disgusted by their presence, and he just wants to do horrible things to them. So when Aga is saying, President, these are our heroes, we think they'll be able to help us in defeating Humbaba, the general's like, are you kidding? These are monsters. They're no good to us. The only good monster is a mutilated one, is a dead one, right? So the president, the former general who also hates monsters, is like, but they did save the city. They've proved themselves worthy. I think it is a good idea that they should go defeat Humbaba. So, being the person that he is, rather than make it like a request, it's like he commands Bill Games and Ankidu and Lubana to go defeat, to go kill Humbaba. Aga to go with as well, since she has some magical powers. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to do it. But, you know, you should just give him what he wants. Like, what's the harm in giving up the monsters? President is insulted that he's being questioned. But what it comes down to is their whole way of life. Storytime with TL, stay a while and listen. Yes. Their whole way of life is built around monster slavery. That humans have never had it so good. And that they forcefully liberate monsters by severing their connection with the planet and turn them into a slave race, slave caste. That if that's gone, their whole way of life in that city is doomed. Their civilization's going to fall apart. But it's already falling apart because the primal elementals are fucking destroying the city and killing everyone. And the president just stresses again, that's why Humbaba needs to die. So, go eradicate him. And Bill's like, well, what about my city? I need to find out my city. The president's like, yes, I know of Ulukatia. I'll tell you how to get there. But please do me this. Do me this service. Go defeat Humbaba, and I will get you to your city. Bill's suspicious, but he agrees to do it. So him, Ankidu, Labana, and Aga all travel together out into the Cedar Forest. And they find the Cave of Kern. They encounter Humbaba, who is practicing his dark arts on the inside. And they begin to fight him. Oh, sorry, let me back up. Before they left, the First Lady, she approaches Bill away from everybody else. Or away from the president and everybody else in the palace. She approaches the party off to the side and says, take this and give it to my son. Don't kill him. Just bring him back. I'm certain he'll know. I'm certain he'll come to realize what it is that he's doing and stop doing it if you give him this. She gives him a doll. It was Piku's favorite toy as a kid. Hold on one moment. So anyway, um, where was I? Oh yeah, so as the party is leaving the city, that's when the first lady shows up, and she's like, "Take this doll. It was my son's favorite toy as a kid, and pretty certain he'll come to realize what it is that he's doing and stop doing it. Don't kill him. Try to bring him home." Bill misses his own son. He can't stand being away from him. He worries about his son just like the first lady worries about hers. And so he promises that he's going to do whatever he can to bring him back. All right, so they go out into the cedar forest. They find the cave of Kern. They go inside. They encounter Humbaba, or Piku, and they get into a fight with him. Things aren't looking so good, or they're about to get into a fight with him. Things aren't looking so good. They're trying to do what they can to convince him to stop doing what he's doing. It's not working. Aga doesn't look like she's helping at all. And she's more or less kind of like disappearing from the scene. Whereas the other three guys, Bill, Ankiru, and Labana, they're trying to talk Humbaba out of it. Bill tries presenting the doll to Humbaba, who, not recognizing it, knocks it away, and it falls into a big pit in the cave. Falls deep inside of a long, dark pit. And that's when the fighting happens. The fighting doesn't go very well. The three of them are getting beaten up because Humbaba is ungodly fucking powerful with that crown. Yeah, I got you. Fair and square. Deal with it. But yeah, he's gotten really powerful with that crown, so he's nigh unstoppable. And Labana, during the fight, gets knocked into the pit, and he falls. They think maybe he's dead. The other two heroes, Bill and Ankiru, they're putting up the best fight that they can. Bill almost dies again. He's about to die. He's about to fall in battle. And this might be permanent. Because because it appears as though Humbaba is a creature of legendary status. And this looks like it might be the end for Bill. Eventually, though, Labana crawls out of the pit, and he's got that doll with him. And he gives he gives it to Piku, he gives it to Humbaba. Or he throws it over to Bill, who's dead to rights. Bill presents the doll to Humbaba, whose attitude immediately changes. He gives up fighting instantly. And upon holding the doll and looking at it, he remembers his brother. And immediately begins to grieve. Something he has not done in all of the years since it happened. Like, when it happened, he was frightened and scared and didn't know what to do, and ran away. But now that he's remembering, he grieves. And in his stunned state, that is when Ankiru, that's when Bill, like, grabs a hold of him, like in a hug. Ankiru comes out to him, rips that crown off of his head, gets that monster crest right out of his skull, and holds it up. He's like, "Yes, we got it. We did the thing. We managed to save him without killing him." And then, boom! Ankiru gets a fucking sword through his back. And it turns out that Aga was there and she assassinated, or that she has assassinated Ankidu. Sword comes out of him. Ankidu drops the crown, and he stumbles back a bit. And Aga takes hold of the crown, lifts it up, and who also is there but uh, Humbaba's stepbrother, who's the general of the president's army, or field marshal of the president's army. And yeah, they take the crown, and Ankidu, he plummets into the chasm, down that pit, and he just keeps going. Bill, like, reaches down, wasn't in time to save his brother. So Ankidu falls down there, and Bill watches his brother disappear into the darkness. He's crying out for him. He's fucking heartbroken. He's a great big mess right now. Labana tries doing what he can, but he's defeated as Aga uses some powers to stun him. And both Aga and the field marshal, they leave with the monster crown that gave Humbaba all of his powers. And the field marshal's like, this is what father wanted. With this, we'll be able to have control over the monsters, over all of the wild monsters. We won't have to liberate them anymore. We'll have direct control over them. Humbaba is now just a regular ogre again, but he still has some abilities left over because that crown gave it to him. Time has passed. Bill was able to get Ankidu out of the pits, but Ankidu is dead. And they have a little funeral for him. They cremate Ankidu. And where was the next part leading up to? That's when Labana pledges himself. He pledges his loyalty to Bill, to seeking to avenging Ankidu's death. And Bill's like, we will get vengeance for his death, but for now we need to get back to Devasso and bring Humbaba back. Humbaba, who's now Piku again. And so they go, they start heading their way back over to the city. What are you looking at? There's nothing down there. It's just me. Where was I? Oh yeah, so they head back to the city. Again, at this point, I don't know the exact structure and how things work out, so I don't know which chapter is which, unless you just base it off of scenes. But the next part is that Aga and the field marshal are already back, or they make it back to the city first. And that's when the president is like, great, you got the crown. Now, with the crown, I'll be able to control the monsters. We'll have all the slaves we want to better the city. And he tells his son, like, hey, go ahead, give me the crown. You know, congratulations, what you did. I'd like the crown now. And when he's asking for the crown, his son is like, no, I don't think I'll give it to you. I want it. And the president's like, what are you talking about? You know, you're acting like a madman. You know, do what your father says. I'm your president. I'm your leader. Do what I say. He refuses, and the president's like, well, this is terrible. I never thought I'd have to kill my own son, or I'd have to like arrest my own son. So, go on, arrest him. And Aga, rather than assisting the guard in arresting the field marshal, instead assassinates the president of Davaso. Or she goes up and she strikes him with her weapon, and he's mortally wounded. He's gonna die. And as he's dying, he wants to know why his son turned on him. And his son said, "With this crown, we won't be able to just make slaves of monsters. I can kill every one of them." Or maybe it's the other way around. The president already hated monsters. Uh, he didn't like them. He thought they were a nuisance. There were only the only good monster's a dead monster. So he wanted to use the crown to kill them all. The son wanted to make a slave of all the monsters. He wanted to have all of them do his bidding and suffer. He wants them to work themselves to death and just obey his commands. Aga, for some odd reason, she's totally on board with this. Um, and then the son, the field marshal, he takes that crown, and he's a human, by the way. Humans are not connected to the planet like monsters are. But he takes it, and he puts it against his head. Nothing's happening at first, but then after a while, it begins to react, and it melds itself onto his head, and he thinks he's getting the gifts of the crown, whatever awesome and profane abilities that were given to Humbaba. But rather than using the crown to control others, to control monsters, it instead takes control of him. And it starts to transform him into a human monster hybrid. Something never seen before. And the field marshal, president's son, starts to uh, transform into this creature. And Aga's like, yes, it's happening. This is what I wanted. Anyway, that's when everything starts getting worse. Uh, and as the heroes are coming back to the city, that is when the remaining three primal elementals of wind, lightning, and water just erupt from the earth and start destroying the entire city, laying waste to the rest of it. The city and all of its people are either drowning to death because the primal elemental of water, is drowning all of them under waves of ocean or seawater that's flooding the earth, killing them with tsunamis and stuff, or just ripping water out of the aquifer and attacking them that way. Then there's the elemental of wind. Arrow is uh, using his winds to create massive tornadoes, and there's like a hurricane surrounding the city, blasting the landscape, tearing the city apart, creating giant water spouts too at the same time since the water's flooding everything. And then even worse now is the primal elemental of lightning. He shows up, fucking electrocuting everything. Everything's gone to shit. And the only thing standing now is the presidential palace, where the field marshal, now transformed into a human monster hybrid, and Aga are residing. So it comes down to our three heroes. The we have Bill, uh, Lubana, and Humbaba, unfortunately, Ankidu is dead. The three of them come together, and it's like, okay, well, we have to stop these things. This is power that's gone. This is power that is now uncontrollable. We have to stop this before it goes anywhere else. This city is doomed. Humbaba is just worried about his mother. He doesn't know if she made it out alive. But he's got to get to that presidential palace to see if she is or not. So they go to the wrecked city, the ruins of Devaso, and they do what they can to fight the primal elementals on their own. Bill, being the demigod that he is, uses all of his superhuman strength to battle the primal elementals. Humbaba still has a lot of magic on his side, the magic that's available to him. And Labana, with his martial prowess and combat skills, as well as special understanding of technology and weapons of war, all three of them together, they're able to fight the three remaining primal elementals, even turning their attacks against each other, such as like having the primal elemental of lightning, Zeus, accidentally strike Kappa, the water elemental, and thus like blasting him, getting rid of all the water. And then, of course, Arrow, the primal elemental of the wind. He eventually gets vanquished. The winds die. And then Zeus is the last one to go. And eventually, all just power, just electricity, or like the powers of lightning, all of that, it's gone. The world is on the brink of destruction at this point. And really, the only way to bring it back, they don't know if this is the solution, but they have to engage the field marshal and stop him. Well, anyway, after the primal elementals are defeated and make their way to the presidential palace, monsters have been summoned to that location. They are now blocking the way. They fight through. They get to the palace. When they're there, Humbaba finds his mother. She's dying, but she says to him that she never truly believed that he was the one who killed his brother. That he is a good son. He'll always be good deep down inside, and that no matter what, she'll always love him. And Humbaba gets some closure with his mom, and that's when he finally gathers his courage to face his stepbrother and put an end to him once and for all, since he was the one responsible for his brother's death. Labana reveals that really the only way that they can undo what they do is if Humbaba takes control of that crown again, and using the powers that he had perfected to bring back the primal elementals and restore nature. He doesn't know how he can do that if the crown corrupts him the way that it did before. But Labana says, I overcame mine. I can teach you how to do yours. You just gotta trust me. All right. So they go there. They I'm not sure how I want it to go first. If they encounter him, or if they encounter, or like if they encounter Marshall first, or if they encounter Aga first. But what it comes down to is this was Aga's plan all along. She, being a druid, is a master of the elements. But what she's trying to do is rather than rather than strip the planet of its power to rewrite the laws of reality and create energy from nothing, she figured she was just going to force somebody into that power source or so. Because the more she uses her magic, the more it ages her. The faster she is gonna die. But something that she had learned. I'm not entirely certain how she would have learned this. She would have found a way to find immortality by turning this guy into what he is now, and that she's just going to drain him of all of his power, and she'll become immortal and infinitely powerful. So I figured Aga would actually be the great story element, having magic cost your life, force, and time. Yeah, the whole point of magic in TL is that it is rewriting the laws of reality, and that it has a terrible cost upon one's body. It ages you rapidly. Now, mages can find a way, as there is an ability in my game called Unnatural Longevity, that once you get to like either level 7 or level 9, one of those two, I think. Yeah, either level 7 or 11 or level 9, you just become immortal. Or I should say, you have eternal youth. You stop aging. Magic's not going to kill you. Neither is natural causes. I mean, you still need to like eat, breathe, sleep, stuff like that, right? But you're not going to age to death, is the thing. So unnatural longevity gives you eternal youth as a mage. So yeah, I figured Aga would be the first of the final battle that the first part of the final battle that they go through. And the party succeeds in vanquishing her. Reminds me of hitting level 20 in a mud I used to play and rolling the character into an immortal. Nice, man. That's really cool. So Aga would be the first to go, and then they would come across Field Marshal, who's thus transformed into a hideous outsider of some sort. He would have become a demigod too. And this is now like the battle that could truly spell the doom for Bill if he falls in combat. And the party puts up the best fight of their life. They manage to bring down the Field Marshal. And during his destruction, Aga comes back, drains him of all of his power, and she ascends into demigod status as well. And now they not only have to deal with the powers of the crown as it was manifesting itself through this person's body, but now somebody who knows how to control it is equipped with it. And she becomes this amazing being of uncontrollable wrath and magical abilities. And so we have our heroes. They're doing what they can. And they fight and ultimately bring down they ultimately fight and kill Aga. She is destroyed. The crown is no longer being equipped, or being equipped by enemies. Very quickly, Humbaba takes the crown. Humbaba takes the crown. Actually, does Humbaba take the crown? Let's see. I'll say for now that Humbaba is the one who takes the crown, and using Levana's guidance, overcomes the intense will of the crown, and uses its powers to recreate the primal elementals, and thus restore nature. Fire, ice, wind, earth, water, lightning all comes back. The world is saved. The primal elementals, ultimately, they become individuals themselves, even though they have the monster crown. According to my lore, the primal elementals are able to defy the will of the planet anytime they want. Not only that, they are infinitely immortal, should they choose to. Anytime they die, they could just will themselves back into existence. Their will goes beyond life and death. They are no longer bound by our reality. I don't know if that has anything to do with this story, but that's how it goes. Thus, great heroes later on would eventually seek them out, and the primal elementals would be like, well, if you're worthy, best be in combat, and I will bestow upon you my gifts. So, fucking kill me if you can. And great heroes will eventually kill them and gain some of their powers, and then the primal elemental will be like, boom, I'm back to life. Like, there you go. You're worthy. Here's some power. Now, go be a hero somewhere. All right. But yeah, Humbaba is able to restore the primal elementals, and nature is saved. But it turns out that Bill has spent up like all of his life fighting, and he is dying. And that is when he does perish, and his soul goes back into the planet, which is where all souls go eventually. And when he's there, that's when he meets Ankiru. He meets his shade, who's like, hey, or actually maybe it should be Bill who gets the crown. Bill gets the crown and he stops it. Probably because Humbaba can't. Maybe Humbaba can't use the crown anymore. It's going to dominate him. So Levana tells him that there's a secret to defeating the crown, and that maybe by Bill being a demigod already has the strength to overcome it. So he uses it to bring back the primal elementals, and in doing so, it spends his life force. He's used up all of his power to overcome the will of that crown and break it, that it kills him. That he falls down, he's dying, and he dies, and his soul gets cycled back into the planet. And when he's in there, that's when his brother Ankiru, the Minotaur, shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Bill, you're not a monster. You're not supposed to be here. So, let me show you the conditions of the underworld, and maybe you can leave. Maybe there's a way for you to leave, or something like that." But after Bill dies, and he's back in the planet, that's when he comes to find out exactly what had happened to his people. That eventually his city and all of its people were wiped out, or at least the city was wiped out. His people, some of the people would live on and um, populate other corners of the world and turn them into great civilizations. His son being one of those people. Um, his son survived and became a great leader, and that his uh, it's is his son and his bloodline would eventually join with Nephromages, and it was together that they had saved the world. And so, in a sense, Bill feels like he's absolved himself of all of his self anger, thinking that he was supposed to be the savior of the planet, but really, like, his son was responsible for that after surviving the attack of Hakam Everasi. And so Bill's able to die happy with that thought, and that everything is fine. I imagine though that something else happens and that Bill might be brought back to life. I haven't really thought that far yet. And that Bill is brought back to life, and he's really sad that he didn't get to stay there with his son or his people as he's like returned to his city that he has once ruled. And that instead, the three of them all together, you've got Bill, Humbaba, and Labana now trying to find the next great thing that will that will kill Bill Games, that will finally do him in. It's like, well, there's more work to be done on this world, many terrible threats that have to be vanquished. There's got to be something out there that can kill me. We got to find it. And so Bill goes off in search of his mortality. And that's the end of his adventure. So kind of like a reverse of Gilgamesh, where when Enkidu dies, he becomes afraid for his mortality and goes off in search of immortality, seeking out Ushnapishtim, and is like, hey, how can I become immortal? And Utnapishtim, who was the man who survived the Great Flood, in a story that was written like 2,000 years before the Book of Noah. Utnapishtim was granted immortality by the gods for surviving the Great Flood and saving a bunch of animals. And Utnapishtim like tells Gilgamesh, hey, there's many different ways of doing it, such as don't go to sleep for 12 days or something like that. It seems silly. Gilgamesh tries to do it, falls asleep. So he doesn't get it. And he's like, well, what else can I do? And he's like, well, there's a certain type of seaweed that grows in this special lake. Go ahead and gather that up and turn it into bread. He tries to, but I think it's like a snake comes on by and eats it all, something like that. And he loses out on immortality that way. He tries doing all these different things, but eventually he doesn't get it. The Epic of Gilgamesh just kind of like ends abruptly because those clay tablets are lost. That like fulfill his story, or it might just be that the story ends there. We don't know. But like the moral of the story is that you can't outlive your own mortality. But it seems kind of funny that if that's the moral of the story, that it comes so late in the Epic of Gilgamesh, because him and Enkidu already go on adventures together. And it's never once really implied that he's afraid of his own mortality. It's only until Enkidu dies. And then, even so, the stories are like written out of order. There are other adventures that happen in between that time, but are placed almost outside of the epic, as though they would have happened later. Such as Aga of Kish assaulting the city of Uruk, and the representative getting sent out there and getting his ass kicked. Not actually being Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was on the wall with Enkidu. And they did manage to talk Aga out of sacking the city. But Aga did it only because Gilgamesh said, "Hey, remember when I did that thing for you? Can you stop attacking my city? Thanks." And Aga was like, "Oh, dude, you're right. I'm going to stop sacking your city. Bye." And he leaves. Like, that's a whole story. But it seems strange because by the time that story happens, Enkidu is already dead. But yet Enkidu is there during that story. So there's a lot of shit that's written out of order. But yeah, I wanted to tell a story that was kind of like about Bill trying to find his mortality and accept it. Are you telling the Epic of Gilgamesh again? Yeah, dude, I did. I finished it. You just showed up, Seti? I finally yeah, nice. Yeah, I finally got a conclusion to my story. I've been having like severe narrative writer's block and trying to come up with it. Like after chapter 5, I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Where does it go next? And then tonight, eating chicken wings. I thought of it. And I was like, perfect. This is perfect. I know how to wrap it up. I just told it. Paste was here. He listened to it. So yeah, Paste likes it. So it must be good. No, don't fucking steal that story. But yeah, now that I have this layout, now that I have this idea, I can come up with the events list, find out what the chapters are, what happens, find out when and how to bring back Hinana the orc, because she was going to come back at some point. She's supposed to come back in the story somewhere, and I'm not sure how or when. I think it might be happening during the time that the primal elementals are attacking. And maybe Hinana and her orcs might even help Bill take down the primals. Maybe. Ooh, ow. I just poked myself with a knife. I'm going to put that down. Yeah, it's always nice if you can find influences from ancient stories. Dude, look, ancient stories are the best. Mythology. Whether it's Greek or Mesopotamian. Again, I love Mesopotamian mythology. Like, the older the better. A lot of those stories just don't make sense the older that they get. Things seem either out of context or out of order. But you put it all together, maybe restructure it, you come up with some really cool narratives. And again, Gilgamesh is just my favorite superhero of all time. He's imperfect. His adventures don't make the most sense. There's a lot of words that still need to be translated that we don't know what the fuck a Miku or a Piku is. Supposedly, it's like a stick and drum. Maybe. We have no clue what those words mean. There's no Rosetta Stone for it. I've been thinking about reading the Gathas of Zarathustra. I booked with them a while ago, but I haven't read it. Or I have a book, yeah. Also sprach Zarathustra. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of good tales that you can get by reinterpreting some of them that are like 2, 3, 4,000 years old. It's just my favorite story is 4,000 years old. Yeah. But yeah, that's my Rise of the Primal story. If you didn't catch all of it, go ahead and watch the stream. It's only 2 hours and 20 minutes up until this point. But otherwise, it's midnight my time. I have work in the morning. And I should be headed off to bed. Now, all of this is going to be on the quiz. Does anybody have any questions? Show of hands. Gathas are around 3,000 to 3,500 years old. Nice. Again, I love old text. They're very creative. They were still trying to figure out what gods are. It's like, who's this? Oh, he's the god of the moon. What does he do? He moons people. Who's this person? The god of the hunt. What's his name? Mike. Who's that god? What god have you got there? Oh, well, I just invented bagels, and so I worship the god of bagels. That's just a plain bagel. Yeah, that's more the agnostic bagel. Will there be a correction for guessing on the quiz? I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. But yeah. So, yeah, that's my story. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, shit, I wish I knew how to draw again. I've lost all of my artistic talent. That all went out the door years ago. My eyes are worse. My hands shake now. I find it difficult to draw. I find it difficult to concentrate. Fucking YouTube exists. I get so easily distracted by videos. The only time that I was best at what I did is when I didn't have internet, right? So that was like 20 years ago when I lived in Colorado. Had my gaming PC at the time, but yeah, I didn't have internet to distract me. Everybody else did, but not me. No, I just if I found the artists who could help me out, then maybe I could make something with RPG Maker or some shit, or a Pixel Game Maker. I could make maybe my Good Boy game, or I could make one of my TL games. That would certainly be an undertaking if it was a TL game. Or hell, maybe I could work on the board game. Convert that to digital. That'd be nice. Alas, I don't know the right people. I don't have a friend like my acquaintance Jimmy Sanders had, where he had a friend who was a really good artist, who would go on to work with NetherRealm Studios on Mortal Kombat 1. And yet he did like all of the artwork for his friend's first game for free. All those art assets for peanuts. Almost literally for peanuts. As Jimmy had like no money to pay him, so he just paid him in snacks. Yeah, that's the type of person that I need to know, but I don't know anybody like that. I don't know anybody who would be willing to put in that type of effort. I don't know how to program. I know that programming's become easier for people because you have those pathways and stuff that you can now put on there, the hierarchies and flow charts effectively. But I mean, when I tried learning programming, it was back when you had to create all of your sheets and classes and shit like that. And that's just a second language that I don't know how to learn. Like, I've tried learning HTML and Java and C++. It doesn't stick with me. It's all fucking gobbledygook. Like, I could barely alter a template to make it do what I would like to do, and I just fuck it up. Because I don't know shit about, like, sine or cosine or tangent or boolean and whatever. I don't remember how to do any advanced calculations. Start easy. Use Python. Dude, I'm trying to tell you, I don't have a brain for it. I don't have a brain for second languages. I am half Mexican. I don't know how to speak Spanish. Kind of tells you something. Yeah, I just don't have a brain for it. That's not information that I can retain. Well, anybody can learn a second language. No. There are some people you just can't fucking learn it. Then learn other languages which introduce new concepts like types and memory management. I'm trying to tell you, man, I can't. That's not the way my brain works. If it was, I probably would have put way more effort than I would think I could back in the day, like back 20 years ago when I was trying to really learn how to program. When I was fucking putting effort into it, and then afterwards going on to W3 school and trying again to like learn HTML and C++ and Java. Because I thought with Java, maybe I can make Minecraft mods and stuff. No. I can make maps. I am a visual artist, not a text artist, not a programmer. I don't know how to script. I just can't script. So, I have the vision. I just don't have the skills to put it together. That's what sucks. I am the lead game designer, but I am neither the artist, the programmer, or what have you. Hell, I've got this thing here. I don't even know how to play music. I've got two of them. I've got this, and I've got a digital piano right here as well. But it's got a whole bunch of shit on top of it, so I can't even play it. But I believe if you put enough time and effort into it, you can script. Yeah, maybe in 5 years I'll finally learn how to make the computer say hello world. All I know is that when I was younger, I was certainly more capable. I had a lot of skill in using RPG Maker 2003 back in the day. I was really good at it. Easy Prince, hello world. Yeah, and then of course you need compilers too. Like I don't have a compiler. I don't know, you probably just do that with Unity. Again, I have Unity. I have Unity downloaded to make games and stuff. It's just the moment I open it up and I say create project, and it's like, all right, well, time to name your folders. I instantly feel overwhelmed and am filled with the idea that I cannot do this. I'm not like Faf. Like where Faf hasn't given up. He's still doing it. So, I mean, I fucking admire Faf and Oki. Those guys are really putting it in. They're really doing it. Yeah, I suppose it is. I mean, the only thing that's getting in my way is myself, right? So, but the thing is, I'm a really big guy. Not like tall, but I'm fat. I'm difficult to get around. Um, yeah, dude, it's hard to not. It's hard to get back into that mindset and not feel old and done for. Old, alone, done for. So, but that's me. Um, but yeah, that was one of my TL stories. Maybe I should tell another one at some point. This guy hasn't been updated in like 15 years, but ever since like 2003, like this was all of my content for Tiberian Legends that I had written. It's not all of it. It's not even all of it. Most of it's digital, but this was like all physical work. I've got stories in here that I've given up on a long time ago because they just don't fit into the narrative anymore. I've got original plans for TL's main story, which is the Omni War, that don't make sense anymore. Ideas of when I wanted to make a TL MMO back when zones were still a thing. Oh yeah, like this whole fucking book here, locking mechanism right like that. Problem is that this thing is super fucking old. I got this in like, I don't know, 2007 or 2008. I think 2008. And pieces of it are missing and falling apart. Let's see, what do I have here? Here's my old cooperation campaign, which was about the arrival of the undead. Some character stuff. Old town maps. My campaign module. Pages that are starting to fall apart. Oh yeah. So you guys wanted to know what the world map was, right? So I would say a pretty good rendition, but not completely accurate. Let me move this. Not sure how well you can see it. But this is my world map. Over here, this is the board game. This is where the board game takes place. On this part of the world. It includes this area right here too. But it's the Western Hemisphere, not including these mountains. Might be a little difficult to make it out without color too. Yeah. The Strait of Kerch. I don't know what the Strait of Kerch is. Actually, there are more things in here I want to take a look at. Watch out, cat. It's the strait between Crimea and Russia. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was. I didn't know that's what it was called. This is all supposed to be taped together. There's an old map that I made, I think, back in like, oh shit, 2008 or 2009. My old map of the northern continent of Colasia, or sorry, of Isolantia, with the capital of Colasia. And it's supposed to detail all of the different locations that a party can go to with dice values to determine like if monsters are going to show up there, or like how many times that you should roll for random encounters. Yeah, there's the world map. I used to run like whenever I run my TL games, I would always have pre-campaign modules. So like one shot games where you can create your characters, and this is the tutorial area. I would always create tutorial adventures for my players before actually getting into the main campaign, saying, you guys got together, you're doing this first, You're going to get some experience and some cool fucking unique weapons, and you're going to bring that with you into the actual campaign where you now know how to use your character. And the campaign's going to be like 3 books long. And whenever I do the mini campaigns, I'd use maps like this that would this is supposed to be a place, let's see. Well, it could be any island. I use this as the inspiration for another location of mine called Sarah Island, where it's supposed to have 2 cities, North Town and South City. And like on this island, on this small island, there's also like a secret military weapons development base. And that's where you can find a bunch of like cool things for your characters. Yeah. Yeah, you can see like the individual buildings up here and stuff. Or things out here. Whenever I would begin it, I would say that you start right here. Like South City is supposed to be down here, but you never go there. You came from there. And so you start here on the road. Like these are supposed to be forested areas here. But then you get to a bridge that's been destroyed. And it's like, oh, well, how do we get around? Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can either find a trail going through the woods where there's a bridge connecting to the other side of the road, or you can go off the beaten path and there's like a staircase going down like a big old cliff to the beach where you can clearly see that there's like a military installation over here, and then you can follow the you could follow the ravine or the what's the word I'm looking for? A canyon. There's like a canyon going through here that eventually becomes an underground cave system with a lake that will exit right over here where you're back on the beach. And then you could find like the road coming up here, and then you're like outside of North Town, and there's some other buildings around here. Yeah. This was one of my favorite pre campaign modules that I'd run people through. Version 1.6. A really big map from 2005 that I made. Designs on technology and, or like in this case, oh shit. Like I love designing like dungeon layouts and stuff. Not always dungeons. A lot of times they'd be just really large buildings and towers, mansions and things. I was heavily inspired by Resident Evil when it came to making dungeons and buildings that were puzzles to get through. How would you implement the borders of the world? Borders of the world in what manner? Oh, how do I prevent players from escaping the playable map? Well, at some point you have to realize that a clever enough player will find a way to do so without breaking the rules of the game. And I mean, it's an RPG. They're free to do that. If they just want to leave, they can. But the adventure stops. So you tell the player, if you want the game to go, then play the game. But if you want it to end, just fucking leave. It's that simple. Have your character leave. Find a way to leave. But the idea is in the world of Tiberian Legends, the ocean is one of the most dangerous fucking places. Period. So monsters roam the world in search of humans to kill. They are actively looking for people and want to kill them. The ocean and the things inside of it predate monsters. And there are a lot of things in there. Oh, like if we're talking about a video game, of course. Well, if I made a video game based on that little tutorial island, it's all surrounded by water. So this is what stops you from getting out there. Because there are bigger, nastier things than monsters in the ocean. And a lot of them are just animals. And some of those animals have been mutated and corrupted by an otherworldly force that lives deep in the ocean. Similar to like great old ones and Cthulhu mythos and stuff, but not Cthulhu. I don't have Cthulhu in my world. I don't have great old ones. Not like every other RPG out there that wants to rip off a Lovecraft. But there is a thing down in the ocean which some people refer to as An-On, the voice of the sea, the voice from the sea. And whatever this thing is, it has the ability to transform things into what it desires. It took a large portion of humans and transformed them into hybrid sea monsters or hybrid sea creatures, like crab people, octopus people, and shark people. And they all worship Unknown. And yeah, they believe it is. They think it is one of the children of Tiamat. They think it's Kul Uluru, which is a which is a big old fish man, who rules the sea, and his whole thing is like, as long as humanity doesn't fuck up in the way that I deem it's fucked up, as long as the things on the surface placate me with virgins and children and stuff and whatever, then I'm not gonna wake up mom. And you don't want me to wake up mom. So a lot of people think that An-On, the voice of the sea, is Kul Uluru, but it's not. It's actually Kul Uluru's dad, and his dad is way worse. Because An-On, which all of those people refer to it as, is actually another thing called Abzu Anger. And Abzu Anger existed before our own universe and was responsible for the destruction of the universe that came before our own. And it was during that time that he went by another name. Yeah, he was responsible for the population and destruction of the universe before our own, and then invaded our universe, was kicked out of our universe, and then was brought back into it by another one of his kids. Yeah. And now he's on this world in the form of some unknown entity residing at the bottom of the ocean, influencing coastal regions. And like I said, the ocean is already the most dangerous place in the world, where you have monsters that are also under threats, because you have your regular sea life, which is already dangerous. And then you have your aquatic monsters. And then you have your mutated animals, your corrupted animals above them that are even more dangerous. And a lot of them, they live close to the surface. So you have megalodons attacking krakens all the fucking time. And megalodons aren't monsters. Krakens are. But krakens are attacked by megalodons all the time. And everyone hates the fucking megalodons. In my game, I made them like 120 feet long. Grossly disproportionate in size. But just to stress how bad the ocean is. Yeah, ocean life is the worst life in my game. Because you venture too far off shore, it's just bad. You're not going to make it. Most people never made it off of the initial continent for thousands and thousands of years. Civilization advanced to the point where they had atomic energy. They discovered how to split the atom before they realized there was another continent. That's how bad it was. They couldn't get off their continent. Airships couldn't get off the continent because aerial monsters, avian monsters, would fucking just take them out of the skies. Yeah, it reminds me of Ark Survival for some reason. Yeah, dude. You just swim around in the ocean. Or not swim, but like... Yeah, if you swim around in the ocean in Ark, you're going to get attacked by megalodons. And then it's like, well, the megalodons aren't attacking my raft, so I'll just go raft across. Oh, there's a fucking Leedsichthys. Even bigger than the megalodon. The largest fish that ever existed. The Leedsichthys. Man. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's it for now. I need to get to bed. It's 12:30. I have to be at work at 9. So, if I want my 8 hours, I better get it. Actually, my alarm goes off at 7:30. Or no, that's my alarm goes off at 6:45. It was nice hearing your ideas of your story. Yeah, I got a lot of them. Wonder which one I'll tell next. I got one of them that's structured just like a video game, so I don't really know if I'd ever want to tell that one exactly. Let's see. What other ones do I have? Tiberian Legends. The Oliver's. Let's see. Yeah, Beyond the Veil. Void, the emptiness, or the emptiness of the void. The place where evil dwells. The void is non-existence, where nothingness is infinite. It is not a place because it is nothing. It is atrophy, black, lifeless, and unspoiled. In the absence of chaos, the void is perfect, yet even within this infinitely vast nothingness exists entities of disbelief and defiance, where whether the void is conscious is debatable. Despite being nothing, it actively extinguishes all that attempts to be within. Evil, also known as void dwellers, void inhabitants, the colors of the void. At some point, whether it was instantaneous or happened over untold eons, something began to stir within the void. Ideas, thoughts, and concepts emerged and sprang to life. Not life in the sense as we perceive it, but something that is undoubtedly capable of action and having profound purpose. Evil came unto the void as clouds of bloody ink rolling over a black tapestry. The void quickly consumed the stains of evil, but as evil multiplied, it became nigh impossible to police. Evil shot across the vast nothingness, ripping through the dark veil at the speed of thought. Just as quickly as color is snuffed by the dark, another appears, delivering hues both vivid and muted. The Cosmot. Uh, the cosmic consciousness translates to supreme creator. The cosmat is an inhabitant of the void. It is a body of space where ideas gather and take form. It is also a blight upon the perfect nothingness the void represents, and it is under constant threat from both the void and the evil within. A cosmat is protected by a layer of light similar to the flesh of an animal. At the heart of the cosmat is the vortex of fire, a funnel through which evil plummets and reemerges transformed by the vortex's cleansing flames. Cosmo Aeon, the Aliverse, also translates to supreme life. Cosmo Aeon is the cosmat that came before our own, Cosmodeus. It was home to psychic entities as large as galaxies, feeding upon the fires burning at the heart of the Cosmo Aeon. One true god ruled over all of the Aliverse, and that was Abyss Phanes. Abyss Phanes had one wife and 7 concubines, to which he dubbed the Keles. To each of the Keles he granted a realm to govern, and through his 7 concubines he sired 3 daughters each, acquiring divine power from their faith and followers. In the end, the cosmat where the Abyss Phanes dwelt would be exposed to evil. Champions were brought into being. The blasphemies of Abyss Phanes to collapse the cosmat and kill Cosmo Aeon. I remember that reading helped me writing poems. Or you must read a lot of books in order to write yourself, right? No, actually I don't. I come I'm inspired by the ideas that I hear from others, and then I'm like, I wonder if I can write my own version of something like that for myself, for my game. Yeah, Cosmodeus, the universe, translates to supreme being. The death of Cosmo Aeon was an end for all that resided within the Aliverse. However, it meant a new chapter was beginning, and the void would be spoiled by yet another cosmic consciousness. Cosmo Aeon's body was crushed by the gravitational weight of a singularity, and when the light of the Ansa fell into the well of infinite power, it exploded once more into the being known as Cosmodeus, our universe. Anma, the Holy Land, translates divine creation. The Anma is a fraction of the void separated via the Ansa. It is for all intents and purposes empty space. It is a playground for gods, titans, giants, and other psychic entities to create and destroy. Ansa, the holy light, translates to divine shield. When evil collides, a brilliant light emerges, yet like all things, the void consumes the light just as quickly as it emerges. For the brief moment the light shines, evil is attracted to its presence. A second light will emerge, then a third. Rapidly, evil converges into a single point, smashing into the light, comparable to a nuclear reaction or the division of cells. The light then explodes with brilliance, pushing back against the emptiness of the void. That magnificent light takes form, and it is within that form that chaos reigns. The Ansa is the skin that shields the cosmat from the dark erasure of the void. That's what's beyond the veil. And then there are entities of the Aliverse. The Shen Hiraket. Path of Corruption. Flames of Rebirth translates to Ring of Sacred Fire. The Shen Hiraket is the ring of fire burning at the heart of the Cosmo Aeon. It is a vortex of flame which evil passes from the void into the Aliverse. The fire has profound cleansing properties. It does not burn in a way that is considered harmful or painful, but strips all meaning from the concepts. Thus, it is often called the Path of Corruption. Yet, all the void dwellers that bathe within the flames of the vortex are transformed into something greater and more important than how they entered. The Shen Hiraket then deposits these new entities of psychic beings of galactic proportion, free to roam the Aliverse and do as they please. The Aden Nun, the Infernis, translates to solar demons. Evil is attracted to the Ansa as moths are to a flame. When several void dwellers pass through the burning vortex, bathing within the raging fires, they are deposited, transformed in both form and purpose. Reborn as Aden Nun, these psychic entities are as large as galaxies and roam among the near limitless boundaries of the Aliverse. They feed upon the fire of the Shen Hiraket, consuming lesser evils and absorbing their concepts. As Aden Nun feed, they secrete a milky liquid into the ether, the waters of chaos. Aden Ka, the Hakaris, translates the solar angels. Evil is not the only entity passed through the Shen Hiraket. They tear and claw at the walls of Cosmodeus, rending the light of the Ansa from its flesh. As the wandering Ansa tumble into the vortex of the Shen Hiraket and become purified by its divine fire, the Aden Ka will emerge. Unlike the Aden Nun, the Aden Ka are without form or purpose. They retain their luminous glow, bringing warmth and light into the Aliverse. From the heavens they gaze down upon the realms crafted by Abyss Phanes, watching in adoration the creations of the Keles. Abis Fanes, also known as Abzu Enger, High Lord of the Eleverse, the Waters of Chaos, the God of Betrayal. Translates to light at the bottom of the dark. Abis Fanes is the Lord of the Eleverse and creator of the Kellis. He came into being when the Waters of Chaos, the secretion of the Adanun, came into contact with the Shen Harakat. His body was nourished by the light of the Aden Ka, his mind sharpened by the wisdom of Adanun, his curiosity piqued by a voice calling out to him from beyond the veil. He ventured to the Shen Harakat, but his creators warned nothing may exit the Aliverse. Abis Fanes returned to his corner of darkness and crafted a cunning plan. He tugged upon the flesh of Cosma Aeon, upsetting the Aliverse and creating a terrible rumble across the heavens. The Adanun fled in terror, afraid that Cosma Aeon would punish them for consuming his elemental essence. Abis Fanes seized the opportunity to approach the Shen Harakat unmolested and called out to the voice from beyond. After no response, he reached an arm through and withdrew one of the Aden Ka. Bound to his flesh and pulsing with otherworldly life, Abis Fanes flayed the light from his skin. Afraid that Adanun would see his creation as a source of nourishment, Abis Fanes collected his remnants and returned to the Waters of Chaos. He molded his scrap of flesh into a sphere encompassing the light within. He then summoned one of the Aden Ka to his secret domain and asked it to provide a light. And so the flesh of Abis Fanes came to life, and he dubbed it Wilder. Believing his plan too cunning for the Adanun, Abis Fanes repeated his actions several times, until 8 planets in total orbited the Aden Ka. He named them the Kellis. The Adanun grew wise to Abis Fanes' actions and demanded he surrender custody of the Kellis to them. Fearful of what actions the Adanun would take against his creations, Abis Fanes tugged upon the flesh of Cosma Aeon once more, tearing it asunder, allowing the evils of the void to spill inside. The Adanun wailed in terror, and the Aden Ka wept in fear. Abis Fanes fell into the fissure he created and stumbled through the infinite emptiness of the void. Looking back, he saw the light of Cosma Aeon fading in the distance until he was alone, and all senses of perception were lost. Floating among the black backdrop of eternal non-existence, Abis Fanes was lost and had no way of returning home. As the veil of darkness consumed his flesh and crushed his very being, a color emerged from the void and bled its inky light upon the god. Abis Fanes was saved by the evil he heard calling out aeons ago. Her name was Jin Unga, and the two consummated their union among flashing lights. She bore to him a son, Arbophis, and requested he take them to the Eleverse. Abis Fanes did not know how to return, but Jin Unga, by creating a carpet of light from the collision of several evils, showed him the way back. They approached the Shen Harakat, its flames nearly extinguished. The luster of the Aden Ka waned, their light dimming and growing cold. All but one of the Adanun were nowhere to be found. The one remaining continued to feed on the fires of Shen Harakat, its body gnarled and twisted by the forces of evil. It tried to devour Jin Unga, but Arbophis consumed the infernal and the final flame, evolving into a creature of terrifying power. Jin Unga's plan came to realization, and her child Arbophis could now grow strong enough to consume the Cosmat. As his final act, Abis Fanes created the Fanes Arkuval to slay the Kellis and them, the Aliverse. Despite the collapse of Cosma Aeon, Abis Fanes would survive by returning to the void and breaking into Cosma Deus as the new primal entity, Abzu Enger. Oh man, you should make your own language like Elvis from Tolkien, but I don't. But I know you don't like languages. No, I don't like learning languages. I can make one. Actually, fucking years ago, I think it was like 15 years ago, I came up with a language structure for TL. Yeah, Fanes Rana. Rana, the light of Abis Fanes, translates to glorious light. Fanes Rana, referred to here as Rana, is the sun that shines at the center of the solar system where Abis Fanes and his family of Kellis govern the 8 realms. Fanes Kemet. Kem Ultra translates to realm of light. The Fanes Kemhet, referred to as realm, is a world within the greater Kem Ultra, or perfect world. Each realm is identical to the next, yet differs immensely. The differences are elemental. One realm may be colorless during the day, whereas another may be vivid in the dark. To see one of the realms, imagine our own world as it is. Now imagine it gray, silent, devoid of devoid of warmth, joy, and kindness. Or imagine our world where clouds of fire barrel through the sky, storms of burning rain, and the earth covered in layers of ash and rust. These are but some examples of the 8 Fanes Kemhet. The Fanes Arkuval, also known as the Blasphemy of Abyss Fanes, translates to Heretic of Light. The Aliverse was corrupted beyond measure. No healing could return Cosma Aeon to its former glory, yet the giant would not fall. From the waters of chaos emerged Abyss Fane's solution, the Fanes Arkuval. These champions were given divine guidance by the Creator, instructed with but a single purpose, to wipe out all gods and usher forth the end of Cosma Aeon. The surviving Aden Nun and several Kellis felt betrayed by Abyss Fanes and actively opposed his plan to undo creation. The Fanes Arkuval traveled to the 8 realms, fighting and dying countless times, but ultimately succeeded in their quest. When Cosma Aeon died, it wiped out all life, including the Fanes Arkuval, effectively erasing them from existence. That's my Elden Ring. That's my Dark Souls Elden Ring fucking TL story. Where the universe before our own had existed, and the first god was born from the secretion of psychic entities of galactic proportion that fed upon the fires of creation, and that god was Abyss Fanes. Abyss Fanes learned how to use the fire's creation, or reach through it to the other side and pull things through, and created life in that cosmos. But the psychic entities that ruled that domain were like, hey, you shouldn't do that, it's bad. But he did it anyway. And when he was told to give it up, he tore a hole through reality, but got sucked out. He got sucked out to the infinite nothingness. And when he was alone, he was getting crushed by that nothingness until something came along and saved him. And that was the thing that was calling out to him from the other side. He and that thing consummated their union and gave birth to another entity. And that entity was like, let's go back to where you came from. And so they did. And they found out that all of the evil entities that exist in the void had spilled into the Aliverse, into his universe, and started wreaking havoc on everything. All of those psychic entities had become corrupted, mutated, turned monstrous. His 8 goddesses, his wife and 7 concubines, they were all being corrupted. Actually, the queen of the Kellis, Kel Wilder, she remains pure. But as they were all being corrupted and turned to horrible disfigurements, the only way to save the universe was to collapse it and start over. And so Abyss Fanes had created the Fanes Arkuval, pretty much holy warriors, or blasphemies, as all of the other gods would refer to them as, to go out there and fucking kill all the gods. Kill all of the gods and all of the Aden Nun, all of the psychic entities, and thus just collapse the universe in on itself. Yeah, that's my Elden Ring story. My Elden Ring-like story. All gods must die. Effectively. Just like in those games. Yeah. The kin of Abyss Fanes. Harokel Wild, Kel Clay, Kel More, Kel Horre, Kel Kulkan, Kel Simus, Kel Nolun, Kel False, Jin Unga, Arbofis. It's like, Harokel Wild was the only one who didn't have children. Kel Clay, ruler of the realm of dreams, also known as the Lady of Tears. Her children were Aneo, Bonfried, and Tenno. Her sacred animal, the sacred animal of Kel Wild was the Silphorus, and she became the Lady of Despair. Kel Clay, her animal was Valanith, and she became the Lady of Tears. Kel Moray, the ruler of the realm of passion, her children were Adrafi, Kroso, Rakisi. Her animal was Alvarin, and she became the Lady of Envy. Kelhore was the ruler of the realm of pleasure. Her children are Axo, Sarlet, and Zalfo. Her sacred animal was Marelum, and she became the Lady of Torment. Kelkulkan was the ruler of the realm of birth. Her children were Jenu, Maltusa, Oliari. Her creature was Seralith, and she became the Lady of Pestilence. Kelsimus, ruler of the realm of strife. Her daughters were Aileen, Tike, and Unoma. Her sacred animal was Ferilthar. She became the Lady of War. Then there was Kelnolun, ruler of the realm of pain. Her daughters were Beltani, Erdu, Skurt, and her animal was Nixara. She became the Lady of Suffering. Kelfalase, ruler of the realm of shadow. Her daughters were Mulda, Nona, and Tessima. Her animal was the Noctris, and she became the Lady of Demise. Then there's Jin Unga, the False Promise, or Evil of Conquest. And then their son Arbophus, the Great Eclipse, Evil of Annihilation. Zoroastrianism is a very interesting structure when it comes to gods. Scholars cannot decide whether it was monotheistic, polytheistic, or henotheistic. You can look into it if you want some inspiration. All I can say about Zoroastrianism is good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Freddie Mercury from Queen was Zoroastrianist, just like his parents. Sure. Yeah, Fall of the Eleverse, Part 1. Sure. What else do I have? Let's see. 2024 and earlier. Oh, that's my old Bible. Yeah, if you want to hear some old shit, SETI. Well, I mean, this isn't old. This is actually rather recent, but for TL, these are the main big stories. The first epoch is known as the Prelude to History. There is the Anma Eris. Anma Eris, divine creation myth, is the tale of the creation of everything. Is the story of Amar Bel and the struggles he and the other gods must overcome to save heaven from Kingu. And then there are the Crusades. I didn't mention in the Prelude to History the Aliverse. I just told you about that. How do you come up with all the names? I look into ancient Sumerian, ancient Mesopotamian, and I mostly look up what's oldest. First, I'll go into Sumerian, then I'll go into like Akkadian and Babylonian, and then from there I'll move on to other things such as like I'll look into other things like in Hindu or Muslim religion. So and I'll pick the names, and then I'll use a Vistian. I don't know what that is. Not at least not off the top of my head. But I use similar names and I restructure them. So they're similar, but not the same. Yeah. Crusades. Alien race arrives on prehistoric Earth to strip her planet of spirit energy. Mars tries to defend her, but is killed when the alien race creates the God crystals. The aliens leave, only to return post-modern day. Humanity used the crystals to create gods to protect from hostile aliens. It's Persian. Okay. Persian ain't bad. I know very little about Persia in particular, though. So, Dawn of Man, Terrigan War. Humans land on Terriga, and the presence of the man-made gods awakens an ancient evil dormant within the planet. Duel of the Dragons. Humans have colonized Tiberia, but to protect herself, she creates the dragon races and wages war on all mankind. Fall of the Gods. An alien god from humanity's past arrives on Tiberia and is hunting down the Mithrils and devouring them. The Magi Chronicles. Nephromagi is born in a world of lost gods, traveling the world and battling a new threat of monstrous foes. The Age of Darkness. Rise of the Primals. That's the one I just mentioned earlier throughout the last 2 hours. Humbaba unleashes the primal elementals upon Devaso and Bill Games. Adventurer King goes on a quest to stop him. Advent of Etheria. Etheria summons Tiberia and begins to corrupt the planet, giving rise to the Queen of the Dead, the now races, and the servants of Tiberia. Curse of Akumajin. Akumajin's reign of terror inspires a woman to take action against the giant devil and save the world. The Era of War. The Atom War. Nuclear holocaust has come for all, and the people of the old world flee from terror. The terror that is the giant beast on woe. The Omni War. Omni War was my first TL story, and it was the one that was most heavily inspired by Final Fantasy. Thalacian Empire has initiated a second world war, and the band of knights in training do what they must to save the life of a displaced princess. The end of the world is the last epoch. The war for Tiberia. The planet is dying, and factions from across the world battle each other for dominance. That's the board game. And that's where, like, if and when I'm able to get my tabletop RPG off the ground, that's when campaigns would occur. It's when everybody's at each other's throats. World at war. So. Yeah, what is the Terrigan War? Who are the gods of Tiberia? Well, there's the Grand Shrine, composed of Ares, Celia, and Chthona. And then there's their children: Atmathos, Botanthalan, Ithoerothos, Estirogais, Cosmogais, Paikratos, Releagais, Tanalan, Zuktalan. There's the primal elementals. Aokashra, also known as the Wind God and the Lord of the Sky. Most people refer to him as Arrow. Galidra, also known as the Ice God and the Ice Queen. She's known as Blizra. Lumendra, also known as the Lightning God or the Lord of Light, commonly referred to as Zeus. Sulfura, also known as the God of Fire and the Guardian of the Flame. Most people refer to him as the Jinn. Ternra, also known as the Earth God and the Green Maiden. Everyone knows her as Gaia. Voidora is also known as the Water God or the Lord of the Abyss. Everyone calls him Kappa. Tiberia has a sister. Her name was Terriga. But she died. Let's see. There's the Mithrils. There's Chthonus, who ate gods. What is a Titanopode? A Titanopode is an alien entity of prodigious size and power. They possess psychic powers and sapient intellect, rivaling, if not surpassing, humans. With the aid of their psychic power, they can travel among the stars enveloped within elemental cocoons. Some encase themselves within ice and resemble comets. Others require heat and take on the appearance of a fireball. In these forms, Titanopodes enter a dormant state, only emerging from their torpid condition when they detect the presence of a planet spirit or another Titanopode. Titanopods are attracted to celestials and often take residence within their bodies. They are highly territorial and will battle other titanopods for dominance over a planet. The true origin of a titanopod remains a mystery. The most widely accepted scientific explanation is that when Cosmodeus was born and the universe came into being, psychic parasites were passed down from parent to child and emerged with celestials in given physical form. What is the Carnodon? The Carnodon is a titanopod. It resembles a humanoid dragon with 6 arms. Its back is covered in bony plates, with both head and tail crowned by massive fins. It has green skin and orange stripes. It is amphibious, capable of breathing both air and water. It lives in the bottom of the ocean, brumating within a glacier of its own making. The Carnodon, known correctly as the titanopod name Kalnutan, the Ansarusu, was the patron deity and protector of Terraga, and its former rival was the living form of Etheria. When Etheria invaded Terraga and feasted on its core, the Carnodon used its psychic powers to summon 6 special moons from all corners of the universe to battle the Celestial and seal it away. The arrival of humans caused Etheria to stir. The maligned Celestial was able to free itself from captivity by manifesting hostile organisms that could steal souls from the living and transfer them back to Etheria. By the time Etheria was defeated, Terraga was dying. With the little strength she had left, Terraga gave up her physical body and reincarnated her celestial form as Tiberia. The Carnodon, Kalnutan, was then put in charge of delivering Tiberia to the 3 remaining moons, now merged as one. The new world within, or with its 3 goddesses merged into the will of Tiberia, became the Grand Trine. The Carnodon then lowered itself into the sea, where it has since slumbered. Carnodon, or Kalnutan, the Ansarusu, or Titanopod. Imagine if Godzilla had 6 arms and a bunch of, like, some fish fins on his head, sort of, and a tail 3 times longer. Needed to fight something at the center of the planet, and so he summons 6 moons from where the fuck in space, summons them to the orbit of the planet, and launches 3 of them as weapons. But when that doesn't work, the planet gives up her life and says, take this, create another world. And then Godzilla just fucking takes the planet's energy, and then those 3 other moons that were left over uses his psychic powers to fucking fuse them into one planet, and then deposits the dead planet's soul into that one, creating new life. And then those 3 planets, which had wills, or those 3 moons, which had wills of their own, became one god, but 3 entities that instantly created 3 more children of their own, so 9 in total, who were all tasked with creating the planet. And immediately, as humans were abandoning one planet and they were crashing into another one, they were watching the world form in fucking seconds. And then when they hit the ground and they were wondering what happened after the fuselage of their ship tore apart, one of them was walking around and they saw a god that looked like a man or whatever, just flying through the sky. Those, like, legs together, arms out, fucking raising the earth out of the oceans and shit. And another one just creating all the forests, happening instantly. 6 are like Shiva Godzilla, yeah. Like oh, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what's her name? I just forgot her name. Kali. Yeah, like Kali. Like the goddess Kali. So yeah, just imagine a human, like a dragon with a humanoid body, still dragon head, but 6 arms, summoning 6 moons, 3 of them as weapons, the other 3 still out there. But when the attack fails and the planet dies, uses psychic powers to fucking merge those 3 moons into a single planet. That's Tiberia. And the moment those moons came together, boom, gods were instantly born and got to fucking work, crafting an entire world instantly. And then went on managing it, created life, and was like, let's get you up to civilization. But the thing is, humans existed before that too. Humans, they crash landed on that planet when it was still in development. And the gods were like, oh, hey, welcome to paradise in the making. You can stay around as long as you want. And then something happens, and they're like, sorry, you can't stay anymore. We're going to get rid of you now. And, yeah, that's when the Duel of Dragons occurs. And in that story, about the humans, about Earthlings who have been traveling the stars and crash landed on this place, or they crashed here because as they were traveling from one destination to another, something knocked them off course. They landed on Terraga, set up shop there, tried reaching out for help. Something happened. Inside of the planet woke up, attacked everything. And then that planet died. Tiberia was created. And as that planet went, as that, it didn't explode or anything. It cracked apart. It's still there. But humans went from there to Tiberia. And they didn't exactly land successfully. Their ship was torn apart, but some of them survived. And the ones that did emerged from their ships. They tried setting up civilization again. It wasn't really working out. Then they were doomed to die because the dragons were created. Dragons attacked humans. Humans had a way of defending themselves. Thankfully, they had technology. They had deific technology, and they were able to fight back against the children of the planet, dragons, the firstborn of the planet. And the dragons were led by Bahamut, and Bahamut was successful in leading his dragon armies against humans until eventually he said, all right, enough is enough. We've won. They've been defeated. We're going to lay off. But Tiamat said no. And Bahamut was like, no, we got to stop this. During the war, though, the human hero, Ninnuldra, he did some terrible things to Tiamat's children. Because it was war, and he needed to win. And he needed what dragons had in order to defeat them. And so he started with the weakest and made his way up, taking everything that made them awesome, until eventually he was outfitted with some rather radical shit. And he was in a mobile suit with god-killing weapons. But Tiamat, after losing her four children, was outraged, and she wouldn't stop fighting. So Bahamut was like, or actually, she didn't want to stop fighting, and so Bahamut assisted humans in killing her children, and that's when she became heartbroken and such. And then something spoke to her, something deep inside the planet that's not supposed to be there. It was like, hey. You want real revenge? Become my consort. And then she gave birth to the 7 fiends. And then after the 7 fiends were finally defeated by Ninnuldra, who became the last human alive. Him and his mobile suit, Marduk. Tiamat had surrendered. She was put to sleep at the bottom of the ocean. Her surviving children were told never to awaken her unless certain conditions were met. Bahamut, for having betrayed his kind and helping the humans, was banished to the stars by the gods. All of the other surviving dragons, they were told, hey, you have to live underground and protect um, the remnants of humanity. Make sure that they never escape. Make sure that nobody finds them. And yeah, when Nin Noldra was the last one, the last human, and eventually perished at the end of the Duel of the Dragons, the last one left alive was the AI in his mobile suit, Marduk. And the gods appeared before him and were like, "Why are you sad?" He's like, "Because I'm the last of my kind, and I'm the last memory, or I hold the last memories of humanity and such. Like, my pilot's dead, I'm gonna die, and like I'm contemplating mortality, uh, because of all of these awesome things that have been attached to me. I have gained like higher awareness." And the gods are like, "Well, we pity this thing. It's not a person, yet it's sentient, and we can't let that perish. And we respect Nin Noldra for the fight that he put up. So we're gonna recreate humanity in our image, and we're gonna start with you, Marduk. You're gonna be the first. You're gonna be the first Tiberian." They turned an AI into a person, and they started with him. And they said, "Go forth and multiply." Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go to bed. It's after 1 o'clock. I should really go to bed. I don't know why you're still here. Are you still here? You're still here. Go to bed. Any questions? Class? Is all going to be on the test. All right, no questions. All right, sounds good. Go to bed. For any of you who watch Oki stream, or how much time to prepare for the quiz? It's after 1 o'clock. The quiz actually ended already. For those of you who watch Oki stream, I'll see you in the chat tomorrow morning. I start work at 9, so I'll probably have like an hour to watch. For those of you who are here who don't watch Oki's stream, Oki Gaming, go watch it. You'll have a lot of fun. All right. Talk to you all later. See you in the morning, Said. Bye.